Yes, it's preparing me to go live. We are now live. We are being live streamed via YouTube. Greetings, greetings, family. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me, family, friends, loved ones, supporters today for this very exciting and special event. I want to thank everybody who's in the house, who's come to join us in celebrating today's book launch. I've got, already some wonderful, supportive people in the house. I've got my sister Almin in the house. It's been an absolute treasure. Rise up, sis. I've got Sister Vanna in the house. It's been an absolute treasure. Rise up, Sister V. I've got my daughter Sasha in the house. An absolute treasure has been part of this journey as well. Sister Baguette and you, sister, in the house. And I've got family and friends from various other groups that I've been part of. Sister Itana is trying to connect in the house. Dr. Kafusa is in the house as well. Absolutely phenomenal. Now I can see my screen is moving a little bit slowly, but we're just going to have to work with the technology. And I'm going to open up today by just playing a presentation. This one doesn't have, oops, hang on. I don't need music for this one, but I'm just going to share this presentation with you today, family, because it's all about the book launch. It's all about the book. Oh, King Offa. Wow. Okay, so I've clicked slideshow mode. Here we go. So family, first of all, it is an absolute pleasure, absolute honor to have you in the house with me today to celebrate the launch of this wonderful book that's been in the making for a few months now. The Black King, a Black King of Anglo-Saxon England, none other than King Offa. And it's a book, as it says here, that goes beyond the Eurocentric worldview. And it's actually looking at our history from an Afrocentric perspective, because there's a huge amount of work that we need to do to ensure that we start interpreting history for ourselves, and that we are the ones who are analyzing the archaeological, anthropological, documented evidences, and we're the ones who are going to the libraries and looking at the artifacts. There's a huge job that needs to be done, family, and this is just really scratching at the surface. But if I can be an inspiration even to one or two people today who go away and do the bulk of the work, to bring our true history to the surface, it would be absolutely worthwhile doing this event today and launching this book today. So King Offa, the book, A Black King, is already available. You can get it now on Amazon. Rise up those who already have the book. Thank you so much. Here is something that you won't be able to hear, I don't think, because I didn't actually optimize it, but I'll come back to that. So here's a couple of gorgeous young ones with a copy of the book already reading it. And that's because this book makes perfect bedtime reading. And I would really encourage parents to read it to their children. It will expand their mind. It will give them a sense of purpose. It'll make them realize that they actually have a connection with the UK that goes way back in time, and that we were the first people here. I want to write up Dr. Marie Charles because she was the one of the people who inspired me, the first person to inspire me to write this book, because it was in one of her presentations that I heard about King Offa, an Anglo-Saxon king, and I was like, what? An Anglo-Saxon king? King Offa? No. How this? In England? I mean, I know about him. We got to check him out. Yeah, so rise up. And thank you, Dr. Marie Charles, another major inspiration. Once I'd actually done a bit of research into King Offa, I presented that research at one of our Dr. Winter's University or Dr. Winter's Foundation class, When Dr. Clive Winters heard it, he's like, Sister Shanice, you got to write that up into a book. I'm like, he's like, you can do it. I'm like, do it. So I knew I had big sister Almin behind me, and so she's so supportive in everything I do. So I went ahead and started writing this book, and I'm so glad that I did. And I've got wonderful Errol next to me here. Here in the picture, Errol. Errol has been so supportive as well, giving me the time and space to be able to write this book as well. So rise up, Errol in the house. And Dr. Clive Winters just given me a phenomenal, wonderful review as well. Brother Kieran, who's in the house, also from the Dr. Winters Foundation University, read the book, and here is his review of the book. So I'm certainly hoping that already some of you are feeling inspired to get a copy of that book. And yeah, thank you for your reviews. We'll get an opportunity later in the day, hopefully, to hear from you as well. And Jacqueline, who is a former deputy head teacher of a school in London, gave me a review as well. And she was like, Sister Shanice, you really have, uncovered something here. She's a school teacher, and also, like myself, was unfamiliar, despite her years of teaching, of the existence of us as Africans, as the ancient ones of Britain. So there's so much that we need to do to get the information out there. Big sis Almin, thank you so much for your review. Says it's a compelling account, of aspects of our history. And our sister Almin too, who is very well read, said, like me, Blacks, Africans, Anglo-Saxon Britain. I did A-levels, I went on to university, and I never heard of it. So Sister Almin started doing some research, and I was keeping all of my sources as well, which you will find in the book, because it's so important that you don't just take my word for it, or my good friends and family's word for it, but that you do your own research for yourself as well. So thank you, Almin. And she has said, that it will stimulate the minds of young students. And that's the feedback that I'm getting already. So thanks to Sister Verna as well. She's the one who I bounce the images off of. Once I come up with a design or an idea or something, I bounce it by her, and she's like, yeah, that looks good, change this, change that. And then Sasha, she's very creative as well, been supporting me. The 3 books in the middle, that was something I got from Baguette. So I thought, you like that, Baguette? I'm going to create something like that. So having people around you who stimulate you, who challenge you, is, so critical. And so thank you, those of you already here, those of you who are already a subscriber on the Sista Shanice show, thank you. Those of you who listen to me on Galaxy Afewi, thank you. Those of you who support me on Patreon and are here, thank you. Those of you who are friends with me on Facebook, thank you so much. All righty, let me stop share. And hopefully now we have Leader Bandaka in the house. And if we do, that means that we will be able to get a wonderful spiritual opening happening today. Do we have, I can see Sister Kai. Yes, Sister Kai, please put Leader Bandaka on for us now. Thank you. Leader Bandaka, he's the spiritual leader of the Al-Kabalan Revivalist movement. He's a friend of the Sista Shanice show. He's a presenter on Galaxy Afewi, a phenomenal liberation leader within our community. Please come on camera, our brother Leader Bandaka. And then once he's on camera, Verna, I think it wouldn't be you that would have to make him solo, yeah, for the view.
Okay. Am I host?
Yeah,
yeah, you're host. So if you go to Brother Leader Bandaka, who's just taken himself off, just put himself on camera, and then Once he does that and he's on camera, then if you zoom in on him, yeah, put your camera on, please, Sister Kai.
We're trying to.
Okay.
Okay. Let me come out and come back. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So as they go out and come in, let me just let you know of some of the speakers that we have got lined up for you today. All righty, so I am going to share screen again. And okay, so I'm going to optimize the sound. So put your sound on, family. And I'm going to bring you a little something. Where is it? There it is. That's the one I need. So get an idea of who is going to be on our show today. I hope you all like that as much as I do. Oh, so I'm just going to stop sharing now, and Leader Bandaka is on camera. So yes, taking solo. I'm getting feedback, so if everyone else can make sure that make sure they're on mute. Thank you.
Are we on mute?
Okay, let me try and spotlight Leader. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I still have control to do that. Leader Bandaka. Welcome, and thank you so much for being part of today's event and for agreeing to open up.
Tendai Mwari.
Greetings,
my beloved. Greetings, my precious and beloved sister, in the most precious, powerful, and bountiful name of our motherland, Al-Kebulan, Mama Africa, in the sacred spirits of our most gracious ancestors, and in a prayer for oneness, hope, and prosperity for all African people upon the face of Mother Earth. Rumbidzo kunamwari Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Giving thanks and praises unto Mwari Nyakusika, God the creator of the universe, through Mudzimo Mukuru, our great ancestors, for all mercies great and small, for the dawning of this blessed day, and for the rising of Amin Ra upon this blessed day of Umoja, the day of unity, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. What a noble, noble cause for a people who were chosen since the beginning of time to be the vicegerents of the creator of the universe here on earth. The sons and daughters of Africa, the first people of the first land, custodians of the conscience of humanity. This is who we are, and we are blessed today to be called in this hall of faith, this virtual hall of faith, this virtual hall of learning, as we continue to nurture, to nourish, and to fine-tune ourselves so we may make ourselves worthy of being called the children of the Most High, the sons and daughters of Al-Kebulan, Mama Africa, the descendants of Mudzimo Mukuru, our great ancestors, indeed to make ourselves worthy of being called freedom fighters, those who have been summoned, those who have a calling and have answered their calling to stand up, to fight back, and to be the example for the rest of us. We give thanks and praises unto our Creator and unto our ancestors for making us who and what we are. And in this moment, as we occupy this space, this hall of faith and hall of learning, called together by the wisdom and the mission the wisdom and the mission of our beloved sister, Sista Shanice, who has, out of her love for Africa, out of her love for the sons and daughters of Africa, which is all of us, she has painstakingly gone through the process of researching in order to unearth the abundance of truth about the glory of Africa and Africanness and the presence of our people throughout the world. Because indeed we are the first people of the first land. But as Sister Shanice will have us know, not only are we the first people of the first land, we are the first people of all lands throughout the planet Earth. Giving thanks and praises for our sister's insight, for her vision and for her mission as we come together, beloved brothers and sisters. Let us pour libation as Africans do, and that's who we are. So we pour libation to our ancestors, through whom the Creator created us. We came into this world through the spirit and the bodies of our ancestors, and through their words, through their teachings, our consciousness is awoken. So we come into being in mind, body, and spirit through our great ancestors, as it pleased the Creator of the universe. And in true African tradition, we commence nothing of significance or importance without pouring libation to Mukuru, our great ancestors, in the spirit of thanksgiving, knowing that they, as the natural medium between our earthly existence and the Creator of the universe, will petition to the divine Creator on our behalf. Now we are going to do a short libation because of the order of things today, but we ask the ancestors to accept our humble offering of grace, our humble offering of faith, our humble offering of recognition of their importance and significance in our lives. We raise the incense bowl. Ashe, 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 oh. We burn the incense of frankincense, representing the concept of the law of opposites, opposite principles in the universe, working to create a balance, to create order and harmony. Tendai Mwari.
Ashe.
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 Mwari tipe yo masimba, ekula chakaipa. Mwari tipe yo masimba, ekula chakaipa. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Call upon the Creator of the universe to grant us the power to overcome all evil. Give us the power to overcome all evil. We say, Moya yakashata ngaibe matiri. Evil spirits, leave us. Leave us. Leave us. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari.
Raise the libation bowl. We raise a libation bowl to the ancestors and to the Creator of the universe. As we pour libation, we say, unto the ancestors we come. We call upon Mzima Mukuru, the great ancestors, in the tongue of Mzima Mukuru, the great ancestors. We call upon Mzima Mukuru, the great ancestors, in the tongue of Mzima Mukuru, the great ancestors. Great ancestors of Mama Africa, come. Great ancestors of Mama Africa, come. We call you from the east, call you from the west, call you from the north, call you from the south, from around the circumferences of the globe, from the height of Mount Kilimanjaro, and all the mountains of Mama Africa, from the depths of the River Nile, and all the waters of Mama Africa. Hey, we call you. Hey, we call you. Come. You're there. Call upon our ancestors from ancient times, to those recently passed, those who gave knowledge to the world, those who gave science and technology, mathematics, theology, astrology, astronomy, architecture, language and communication, philosophy, theology, our ancestors who laid the foundation for culture and civilization. We evoke your spirit in this presence and in this space. Uyai. Blessed be the name of Muzumumukuro, our ancestors. Through the ancestors, we go on to the Orisha, we go on to the Abyssum, we go on to the Neteru, we go on to the Loa, we go on to the Vudan, we go on to the deities of Mama Africa. We say, Tipe you what you kumborero, Tipe you what you kumborero. Give us your blessings. Give us your blessings. Give us your blessings unto the creator of the universe. We call upon the creator of the universe, our great ancestors. Through the deities of Mama Africa, we evoke the universal, the awesome spirit of the supreme creator of the universe to bless this occasion, to bless this occasion, to strengthen the minds, to strengthen the spirits of our people, and to bless our Sister Shanice. Give her the inspiration, give her the words to speak to our people this afternoon, to strengthen our conviction, to strengthen our resolve, to add power to our courage. For great is the fight that lies ahead of the sons and daughters of Africa, seekers of righteousness on the planet, those who seek to restore truth, justice, and righteousness will never be defeated, for the power of truth is greater than the power of evil. And so we command that all falsehood will vanish this afternoon by the words of our sister as she ministers to us. All truth will be revealed. All listeners will be enlightened. And all seekers of liberation will be empowered. Empowered to join or heighten our commitment to the fight for total liberation, the glory of Mwari, Nyakusika, God, the creator of the universe, and Muzumukuro, our great ancestors. We give thanks and we give praises. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. It is done. Blessed. Go ahead, my sister.
Oh, wow. What a thunderous opening. Our leader Bandaka. I hear myself being feedback, so please do turn off anything that you might have on the background. Let's go forward. So greetings, family. Thank you, Leader Bandaka. That was absolutely phenomenal. You have opened up today's proceedings with a thunderous words. Reminded us, that our ancestors are great ones. Archaeology, astronomy. I can hear someone with lots of knives and forks and sputtering going on. Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so yes, family. Thank you so much for joining us today. You heard that wonderful opening there by Leader Bandaka. Thank you, Leader. He's brought in our creator, our ancestors, the great ones, because I am the descendants of our ancestors. I'm the descendant of my mother, who was the descendant of her mother, whose mother was the descendant of her mother, and so on and so on. So we are the descendants of our ancestors. Well, let me put some light on here, see if this helps to keep us stabilized. Right, without further ado, I would like to introduce to you our brother Kafusa, Dr. Kafusa. Can we see you in the house, Dr. Kafusa?
Yes, my sister, I'm here.
All right, so that I can, let's see if we can find you, so that we can add you to the spotlight. Sister Verna, are you able to do this? There's Dr. Kafusa. Let me see, I might have to do this.
Yeah, I think you have to do that. I'm unable to do that.
So I'm going to add you here to the spotlight. Ah, awesome. Dr. Kafusa, another friend in the house, doing absolutely phenomenal works in his own right. Dr. Kafusa, let me go straight over to you for you to firstly briefly introduce yourself to the family, and then let's get into this little discussion that we're going to be having.
Okay, so firstly, welcome. You found yourself in a peaceful place, and we wish for you blessings without number. And I have to say that that was a beautiful libation that we just had.
Yeah.
And it made me reflect on the fact that when I was a child, I went to a Black church, and never in my life did I think that on a Sunday that we as Africans would come together and begin to sing the praises of the Most High in our own languages. And that's one of the beautiful things, that when we can speak in the language of our ancestors, because we're not like this English thing here, so you know. So that's the first thing that really touched me, that Brother Leader has been somebody who has done the work to go back and dig into the culture and very nature of us as Africans and bring it to the fore. And I have to salute the Brother Leader for doing such. Now, in terms of Sista Shanice, I am from Sarton Productions. Basically what I do is to teach knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of African culture, and to follow in the footsteps of our great ancestors like Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, and to do this work so that one day our children will know truly who they are. And this year I came across Sista Shanice. And I have to say this before I start. Very often in this conscious movement, we meet people, and sometimes we bypass each other. We meet and we bypass. But when I saw the work that this sister has been doing, the consistent work week after week, bringing in scholars to speak and teach the truth to our people, knowing what that takes in terms of your family, knowing what that takes in terms of sometimes the criticisms that we get, I had to say, with all due respect, this is a sister of sisters, like the goddess Set, who is the mother of the nation, who nurtures all, because motherhood is not merely being the mother of your own child. Motherhood, and indeed fatherhood, is being a father or mother to the nation. And that's all I wanted to do, to say that this sister is doing the work, and it is a pleasure to work with her. So she has asked me today to conduct a small interview in regards to the book that she has put forward. And I will be buying my copy shortly, because I have a young daughter that I know is going to consume the book and ask me 1,001 questions. So Sister Shanice, you better get ready for volume 2.
Okay.
So without any further ado, let me just pose a number of questions to our beloved sister. So the first question that I wanted to ask her, because having been someone who's authored books and who writes, I know it's not an easy task. So I wondered, Sister Shanice, what inspired you to begin to put this information together? Because remember, most of us who were educated in this country would have no idea in our minds that there was an African, an Anglo-Saxon African king. Even those of us who've studied have not necessarily focused our energy in on the African presence in the UK. So I'll ask you again, my sister, what inspired you to write this particular book?
Wow, thank you, Dr. Kafusa. You've touched on it. You know, I went to school, college, and university here in the UK, and never in any of the history lessons was I ever exposed to the fact that there was African royalty, you know, that was ruling over Britain and the British Isles. Never was it mentioned that among, you know, the ancient people, we were the original indigenous people, and that, you know, we were the rulers of the land. Never. You know, I used to hear insults like go back home to where you come from. And had I known my history, I would have been able to say, I am home. You go back to where you come from. And I first, you know, became aware of the fact that we had an Anglo-Saxon king by the name of King Offa in a presentation, following a presentation by Dr. Marie Charles. And just to say that, you know, you can watch Dr. Marie Charles's presentation and the wealth of information that she brings to us on my channel and on the channel of Dr. Rev Scott as well. And wow, when she delivered her presentation and was just exposing us to the fact that there is so much evidence of the cultural continuity between us in Africa and us in Britain, and she was bringing the evidence, the artifacts, and showing us. I was like, wow. I've got to look further into who King Offa was and do that research. I did that, delivered the presentation on one of Dr. Winters's, the Dr. Winters Foundation program that I was part of, and Dr. Winters said, you've got to write that book. I'm like, me? He said, yes, you've got to write that book. And he said it in such an encouraging and persuasive way. I went off to do just that. So they were definitely my inspirations, inspirers. Also with the encouragement of the other members of that group who have encouraged me along the way, and a few of them are in the house. I want to rise you up, Brother Kieran, Sister Emma, Sister Vivette from the Winters Foundation. Dr. Winters himself is in the house. Rise up, you'll be hearing from him later. Honor. So, and of course, with the confidence of knowing that I had my family, you know, around me who could support me, you know, it just made the task feel doable. And also, I suppose, you know, having that awareness that I went through school, college, and university, not knowing this history, you know, being exposed to a history that was designed to belittle me, that was designed to make me feel less than, and to see our children and young people go through the same education system and come out the other end with no knowledge of the impact that their people have made here, you know, in England, not just, you know, as former enslaved Africans or anything like that, which is the context within which we tend to be given, you know, any history of our greatness, you know, but no, that we actually ruled these lands. I thought our people need to know about it. So, you know, therein lies my inspiration, my brother.
Beautiful, beautiful, sister. And it's really important to understand, because as you were speaking, I was thinking about J.A. Rogers, a Jamaican, who Minister Malcolm X talked about how the works of J.A. Rogers inspired him in his quest to understand African history. So it's important to understand that when you write a book of this nature, you don't know who you're going to inspire. You don't know what child will be impacted and infected by this virus of African knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So we want to thank you for that, my beloved sister, for making the commitment of writing a book, because them things are easy enough. So on to my second question. Really, who is the book aimed at, sister? Who is the book aimed at?
I've just touched on that, actually. First and foremost, it's aimed at our young people. I want to inspire our young people. I want them to know that we have a marvelous history, not just one that comes out of Egypt, but a global history. I want them to know and have the evidence and access to the sources that will make them aware of the fact that they come from greatness. And as a result of having that knowledge, my desire is that they will then go on, to have a sense of pride in who they are, that they'll be able to make that connection to the UK as well, and realize and recognize that their ancestors were actually, the former rulers of this land, that we were the ones who brought civilization to this part of the world. To get that sense of belonging that we don't get anywhere in this country, and all of that has been denied of us. And so, I grew up with this attitude, like bonfire upon Babylon and all the rest of it. But hey, I'd be burning down my own house, not knowing that this was, our house. So, the book is aimed primarily at young people, but it's also aimed at parents, because I want them to be able to use the book as a resource for home tutoring their children. I want them to be able to read the book and recognize that, the Phoenicians who I talk about in the book, do some more research, get your children to get to know who the Phoenicians were, that they were coming to England to get tin, and that they were taking it back to other parts of the world, and I mentioned so many other groups, because as Africans, we are known by so many names. It's also targeted at teachers who want to do African history classes using some meaningful, truthful, non-fiction material. It's also aimed at Saturday schools, a multiplicity of groups, and of course, adults who want to buy it as a gift for teenagers, and adults who may have missed out on that education themselves and want to acquire some of that knowledge.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it's really interesting because listening to what you have said, I had the same experience at school. Didn't know anything, didn't know who I was, didn't understand my lineage, didn't understand my heritage. And it's important because, sister, you referred to this thing that happens to us where we think about the bonfire. And it's a real thing. But there's another aspect here that is important. It is important for us to tap into the creative genius of who we are, that we begin to focus on us as African people, not spending all of our days thinking about racism and how it impacts us. So the beauty here is that you are showing the young people that if we say we are made in the image and likeness of the Most High God, then we must do that which God does, which is create. And surely you have done that with this work. So going on to my next question, what was it like going through the process of writing the book? How many sleepless nights did you have, my sister?
Well, what was it like writing the book? It was a process, and I'd actually learned that process as well from Dr. Winters. So I could, I've written a book before, but I learned so much at the feet of Dr. Winters that helped me with how I was going to structure the book. And I'd also done some research, which I'll talk about in a little while, which also, inspired me and led me to want to do this. Yes, there were many sleepless nights, but that's because I was getting sleep early evening, late evening, and getting up in the mid-wee hours, when it's nice and quiet to do the writing. And I must say, most of the writing I did when I visited my daughter, and she just gave me that space as well to write. So as long as having a great time with my daughter, there was about 3 strong, some say weak, but we know weak was strong. So there was 3 strongs where I was just allowed to write. And yeah, it just all came together on that holiday.
Beautiful, beautiful. And, sister, you've given us an important lesson on time. Time is something that you don't get back. None of us know when our time is up. So therefore, we should utilize our time to do that which will raise up our people and to be a light, a shining light in the darkness of white supremacy. White supremacy. Look at that, sister.
White terrorism.
To understand that whiteness is not our focus. It is us as Africans that must become the focus, and we must move from the periphery to the center of our own mind. So with that, sister, I'm really going to go on to my final question. And you've kind of touched on it, but I just want you to summarize in terms of what you have already said. So the question is, why was it important for you to do this piece of work? Underline that for us, please.
Well, I'm hoping that this piece of work, once in the hands of the young people, once they've read it, it'll begin to change their perception of who they are. It will raise their self-esteem and their race esteem. It will begin to erode that negative geography perception that we have of ourselves that has been indoctrinated into us by academia, historians, and basically the mainstream colonial education. So I'm hoping that everyone that reads this book is going to have a totally different mindset and outlook on us as a people, because we are creators. We've accomplished so much. And I want our people, especially the young people, to come away with that knowledge.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank
and so
you.
Just to finish off, it's important that we then understand that there is actually a connection with the violence that we see on the streets. The connection between that and the cultural violence that has been extended on us as Africans, because when we don't know who we are, then we fail to dig in to our nature. We fail to become the vessels of the Most High, and we fail to actually demonstrate that we were the first and we will be the last, because in this never-ending cycle, it is the Africans who have to remind the world what it was, what it should be, and what it will be. And so with that, I will say, my beloved sister and family, because it's important to understand that none of us can create without this assistance of our family. So I thank you, Sister Shanice, for the work. I thank your family for the work. And I wish for you and your family blessings without number, my sister and family. Wow. I say a shame.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kafusa, check out his works as well. You'll find him on my channel. And, you know, he's been doing some great works in the community as well. Thank you, Dr. Kafusa. I'm now going to, I've now added Sasha to the spotlight, my little baby girl. How are you doing, Sash?
I'm good, Mum. I just want to say, I've said it privately, but I want to say also amongst your brothers and sisters as well, that you have done an incredible work, that I am super proud. I'm always proud whenever you post something and I see what you post, the response that people get, learn from you and are inspired by you. And I just want to commend you, honor you, and say publicly that I think that you do an incredible job. You're always giving, you're always finding a new way to give. You're even doing it. Your birthday was yesterday. You wanted to do it on your birthday, and that's because you are a giver. And so I just want to celebrate you and take that moment out. And so I also want to do a plug to say, buy the book. You can buy it right now. If you have your phone, you can buy it. Put a mention in the group that you've bought it. I think my auntie Verna will do a shout out if you have bought the book, but buy it. And yes, I see Angie dancing with the book. If you have it, put it in front of the camera. This is a day to celebrate my mom, her achievement, and such a phenomenal thing that she has done. My mom will pass, I will pass, generations will pass, but her book will live on. And that's the power of the written word, is that so many people will not be able to say the things there's even generations, sorry to take up so much time, Mom, but there's that's even okay. Generations that have passed and you don't know even your great grandfather's name. You don't know him, but if it was written down, you would know him. And so, Mom, thank you so much for writing this story. King Offa, his name will live on much longer than it would have because you have written it. And who knows, in 10 years, 5 years, 25 years, 200 years, there will be a film about King Offa because someone picked up your book and someone read it. So that's first of all what I wanted to do. just celebrate you and say happy birthday. Number two, I know that the reason why you've given me this moment to speak is because there was a survey that went around. And so many people, I think it was 101 people filled out the survey. And if you have filled out the survey, again, about my mom's character is that she is going to be blessing one of you with a free copy of the book. I don't know if it's going to be signed, or I don't know if you can, what you can do, but there will be a free copy given to someone from the people who filled out the survey. So the survey was about did you know about the story of King Offa? Did you know while you were in school different historical facts that you are learning now? And loads of people filled it out. There was one question that stood out to me, which was the amount of African history I received about the Windrush generation. Did you receive any? The amount of African history I received about the role of Africans during the world wars. Did you receive any? The amount of African history I received about Blacks, Africans on the continent of Africa, pre-enslavement. Did you receive any of that? So loads of people filled out the form. We are not surprised because we are educated that about the average was almost 86% of people did not receive that information. And so again, I have to credit and give honor where honor is due, that now my mum has written a book where you can get that information. Your children can get that information. Your great grandchildren can get that information. And so I just want to ask this question to you, Mum, or do you want to say anything before I answer the question?
I just want to say thank you so much, Sasha, for being a beautiful child that you are. And I'm ready to share some bits of the presentation as well. And I want to thank everyone that did take the time to fill that in, because you also helped and contributed towards me doing the book. Because when I got the results back, I'm like, wow, it wasn't just me that went to school, college and university here and didn't know anything about our history in the Saxon era, the Roman era, the Edwardian era, the Tudor era, the world wars, etc., in ancient times, in Stone Age times. It wasn't just me. They just whitewashed us out of history, erased us out of history, and the evidence is there. And the results of that survey, again, reinforced for me the need for us to be writing more ourselves. So thank you for that, Sasha.
So my first question is, what made you decide to do the survey?
Okay, I think I've kind of answered that in a way, and it was the fact that there was this total omission of us as Asian Africans, and us have been the population, the original population of England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and the rest of the British Isles. I mean, I was like, when I found this out, I'm like, what? And it's not as if these academics and historians don't know it, even though they pretend that we have no history, and they tell us that we have no history. They'll speak quite boldly and say that the only history that Africans had was the history of when the white man arrived in Africa. But they know that to be a lie, because the archaeological evidence is there, which is hidden in their museums and in the basements of their museums, in private homes. The anthropological evidence is there. The genetical evidence is there. They can take scrapings from the bones that they dig up, and they can test the DNA like they did with Cheddar Man, and actually be able to determine from the DNA the pigmentation of the person, the color of their eyes, their hair, from the skeleton itself. They can tell you the size and the height, etc. of the person. So they know, and they have all this information, but they have been deliberately lightening and whitening the images of all of these people that they've been associating with these skeletons. And as I said, they've airbrushed us out of history. So we need to get back in there and start redressing this really awful criminal act that's been done against us as a people.
My second question for you is, was you surprised on the results that you got from everybody?
No, the survey results, I wasn't surprised by the survey results. And just to say that, you know, I'm looking at it now, and the majority, the vast majority, 86% of the people who answered the survey actually went to school, college, or university in the UK. Yeah, there was only a small percentage that was homeschooled, a small percentage that went to Saturday school, and a vast majority were people like myself. Everyone knows my age now, thanks to Facebook. Over 76% of us was over, you know, 50 years of age or 55 years of age. And there were some who answered who were between the age of 41 and 50. So there was quite a spread of people, but the majority of us were quite old enough, you know, and have studied here long enough. And so, you know, if they had acquired that knowledge, they've had enough years here on this earth going through their institutions to have acquired it. But no, it didn't exist amongst most of the people either. That knowledge was.
I understand that, like growing up in England, the schools, you growing up in England, the schools don't provide that information. We might all know why, but why do you think that they constantly whitewash, which they know is a lie, which they know they have no part of? We were here before. They have the information, they have the history, as you said, in their museums. Why do you think they do this?
Wow, you know, it's happening for a number of reasons. It's a big white agenda, and it's the big white lie to keep us as a people in ignorance, so that we don't have the knowledge of our greatness. So we don't know as a people, you know, the great accomplishments of our ancestors whilst they were here on this earth. You know, they want us to believe that, you know, we were never nothing and never will be anything. And they keep showing us awful images of Africa because they want us to believe that the only saviors are them, and that they're the only ones that can save us, and that we can't save ourselves. And if you don't know how great you are, then you're not going to aim high as a people. And anything that they fill your minds with about yourself is what we're going to believe. And that's what's been happening. Remember, if we rise, they fall. They don't want to fall. So they are going to be stopping us from rising.
Yeah. And I guess that's why it's so strategic with the wordings they use, the groupings they put us in. So we are the minority when actually we're the majority. And we get coupled with minor groups to make our minds be small. And so I totally understand. It's not just on the imagery. So we know from every image that they use, which is about Black people or about Black history, they whitewash it, and then also with the words. But my final question to you is, so your action was to write the book. What made you like, okay, so I know that I think the gentleman before asked you what made you write the book, but was it this action, this thought process that made you write the book?
Very much so. Also, what my survey revealed is that the vast majority of us actually suspect that there is a direct link and correlation between low racial esteem and low confidence and even mental health. And this is the extent to which we and our community is being damaged by not having the knowledge of who we really are. You know, the findings was just overwhelming. Because the majority, as I said, just did not, there was a total absence in their education of any racially affirming education whatsoever. And, you know, racism obviously played a major part in that. But the extent to which it's going on, there's a bigger agenda here. And it is for us, it's our duty, I feel, and our responsibility to research our history, to rewrite our history from an African-centered, African perspective. And I'm just joining, you know, those ancestors of ours and those living among us who are actually already doing the works.
Okay. Well, I just want to say again, so with the survey, there was 101 people who filled out the survey. 100 people who filled out the survey. And one of the people who filled out the survey will get a book. I know that later on during this Zoom call, I will be announcing who it will be. We will get participation from everyone. So I'll pick someone to say a number, and then that number will be assigned to a person. When you actually filled out that survey, you were actually issued a number. You might not know, but you were issued a number. And so you will be blessed with the book. And if you have bought 1 or 5 or 10 of the books, it's just to bless someone else with it. And so my last thing is, my mom has spent hours, days, weeks, months on writing this extraordinary book about our history. Don't just buy 1. Don't just buy 2. Buy as much as you can possibly buy and pass on this information, because it's a blessing. So bless other people with this book, because the more we share, the more we educate. The more we educate, the more we strengthen. The more we strengthen, the more we rise. And so, Mom, again, congratulations. You are inspiration, always have inspired me from I was young, and you continuously to do it. That's why I'm continuously chasing you, because you are a phenomenal woman and a great inspiration that I have in front of me. So I hand it back to you.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, my baby Sasha, thank you. Wow. Phenomenal input and contribution there. A big up brother Errol side of me. Rise up, Errol. Yeah, rise up yourself. So now, family, on the agenda, I'm going to show you a little something that my daughter commissioned for me, and I absolutely love it. Certainly hope that you're going to love it as well. Let me just get it up on screen so that I can go to screen share and share this little something with you. Family, check this out. Turn it up, optimize. Yep, there we go. Here is King Offa.
Thank you, Sista Shanice, for writing this book about me, for sacrificing your time to tell my story. History can be lost if you don't take the time to read. Let this book be a guide to the next generation of young kings and queens. For so many years, my life has been credited to impostors buried under lies. But the time has come, the truth will arise. Thank you for seeking me out and finding the truth. Now let's spread the word that I was one of many black kings who sat on the throne and called old England home.
I hope you all love that.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Thank you.
Bringing him back to life.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Sasha, for the work that you did on that. Absolutely phenomenal. Let's go over to Sister Verna. Let me find her and spotlight her and bring her onto the front screen. Yeah, I mean, when I saw King Offa get up and start walking, hey, when he started talking, that's Brother Errol's voice, by the way, I'm like, whoa. So I'm going to add Verna to the spotlight here. Welcome, Sister V. Welcome.
Oh, wow. That was absolutely brilliant. Well done to you, Sister Shanice. I am just so proud of you as well. Well done on this book, this long-awaited book. And guys, you have to get this book. I've got mine. Have you got yours? Just drop it in the chat. Have you got your book? put it in the chat. Let me know. Let us know, because it's really important. Yeah, I can see some people showing their books. Yeah, absolutely brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. If you haven't got it, please do get your copy of this book. And it's so important. It's so important that we resurrect our greats. We mustn't allow them to die. They have done so much and have achieved so much. Our children must know must know about our history. It's really important. It's important for us to read to them, to tell them about how great we are as a people. So Shanice, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I just concur with Sasha. You have spent a phenomenal amount of time putting this together, a lot of hard work, a lot of, toing and froing. And, I am just so proud to have been on that journey with you and to be here to just watch and to testify for this manifestation. And it just goes to show, what a wonderful woman that you are, very determined. And I'm just so glad that I have been a part of this journey with you. But people, you've got to get this book. It is an awesome read. It's a real good and interesting read for teenagers, as Shanice said earlier, for teachers as well, for parents to read to their children. It's really important that we don't allow our ancestors and the work and our history to just die. We have to keep on telling that story. So if you haven't bought the book, then maybe this is a chance for you to get it now. You can get it on Amazon, and you can also buy it a hard copy, or it's also on Kindle, isn't it, Shanice? So people have the option. So do go out and get
someone could post the link in the chat as well. That would be great for those who might want to get it. Sister Verna, thank you for being on that journey with me. My sister's got some natural artistic creative skills, and I've been able to bounce things across to her, and she's never got fed up of getting back with ideas, so I'll try and do it, and she'll be like, oh, why don't you try it with this color background, or maybe change that font, or maybe put that the other way around. And it's really good to have somebody in your team or in your family, someone who has your best meaning and interest at heart, who's going to give you some good, honest, objective feedback. And even if it's crap, we'll tell you it's crap.
It's been an absolute pleasure, an absolute pleasure. I've enjoyed the journey. So yeah, looking forward to the next one.
Hey! Well, I tell you,
putting it out there.
Whilst on Dr. Winters' course, I had to do so much research. I've got research that's stacked up, and waiting to come out there. Oh my gosh. And, I'm watching my colleagues, and they're getting stuff out as well. And I'm really proud of each of you. Sister Amra has just had something published on academia. Woo, woo, woo. Brother Kieran's getting his works out there soon as well, and so it's all happening thanks to Dr. Winters, and you'll be hearing from him later today. So, having that support network around you is just so necessary. Thank you, Sister V. To all those who have bought the book already, thank you so much.
Yeah.
People in the chat. Is there anyone?
I was just looking at the chat.
Yeah.
So we've got Sister Beverly Braithwaite. She's bought the book. We've got Angel Robinson, who's on the live stream on YouTube. She has bought the book. She's from Texas.
You. Oh, it's gone to Texas. The book has gone to Texas. Amazing. Yeah.
Andrew's
can I just quickly jump in there as well? This is something else that's really, really important. Now, I want to rise up all of our academics, our scholars, our historians from America. They've been doing phenomenal works, for centuries, for hundreds of years. But I think here in the UK and in Europe in particular, the system has been so good at oppressing the knowledge of our history that it's kind of escaped most of us. They had us all believing, most of us, not all of us, they have most of us believing that we didn't have any history here or any stories to tell whatsoever. But I am telling you, family, once you start scratching the surface, you know, and in this technological age, which makes access to information more easily accessible. You know, I went to the British Museum to see firsthand some of the evidence of our African artifacts in there. But you don't even have to go physically. You can go onto the website of museums, and you can visit museums all around the world from the comfort of your home. And so access to information and the documentation and ancient records as well is more accessible today than it ever has been. And so I want to rise up all of those in America who have been writing about our history. But what I'm saying to the UK people, our theory time now, the foundational Black Britons, the FBBs, our theory time this. Hey. So thank you for bringing some of the knowledge of UK history to Texas. We need, in the same way we get knowledge of American history into the UK, we need to get UK history now going global. Thank you for bringing it to Texas. Is anyone else, Paul?
Yeah, Andrew has bought, Brother Andrew, Sister Wynne.
Thank you.
Charlene has said she's definitely buying the book to educate her children and also herself, which is absolutely brilliant. And I'm just having a look at the live stream, and I see that Emma Beamley said, yes, she bought the book last week. So
drop us some notes in the chat. Those of you who have bought it, what are your thoughts about it? You know, most of you I don't know, so I know you're going to be honest. You know, do I need to do better? Am I on point? Am I getting there? You know, what is your impression? Is it a good
Josie's just bought a copy. Brilliant.
Who?
Josie. And Carlene.
Thank you,
She's also just bought a copy as well.
Big up, big up. What country are you in? Let us know as well, you know, whereabouts in the world you're from, you know, so that we know where King Offa is going to be traveling to as a result, where the knowledge of King Offa is going to be traveling to. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, V. Well, we'll come back to you. Yeah, if you're in the process of buying a book, family, or if you have bought it, message us either in the chat if you're watching us via Zoom, or message us via YouTube if you're watching us live on YouTube. Thank you so much, Sister Verna. Rise up, rise up. Okay, so let me go on to the next segment now. And keep it locked, family. As you know, we've got some guests who are going to be coming in and speaking to us along the way. And, you know, we're going to be keeping you up to date with what's happening as well in terms of how the book is doing and how King Offa's name, you know, is going to be getting out there. I'm also going to be doing a little bit of reading as well. I'll just read, you know, a few pages from the book so you can get a bit of a flavor of what the book kind of feels like and sounds like. But before I do that, family, there's a little presentation that I'd like you to watch, and I'm just going to go on to screen share now and bring up that presentation, and you should be able to see it now on your screen. Let's go, see if I can get to the bottom of it so that I can get there we go, slideshow mode. Yeah, so what I've been discovering, family, from the research that I've been doing, looking into our history in Britain and the British Isles, I've found that we have a huge amount of history, and that there were literally hundreds, I'm sure it goes into hundreds of African kings and queens and Black aristocracy, you know. And so I'm like, wow, wow, wow. I've come across books that have got lists of information of African sirs, lords, earls, chancellors of the exchequer, even members of parliament. You know, there is so much information out there, family, and we have got to start bringing, you know, these people back to life. And let me play for you a little clip.
The Queen.
Oops. Let me play for you a little clip that really triggered something for me that I didn't know of either. And this reinforced the fact that they actually know this history. They know this information. So this TV clip was a trigger in terms of making me want to write the book and do the research. Dr. Marie Charles was a trigger. Dr. Clyde Winters was a trigger. But have a little listen to this. I'm going to go to about 52 seconds into this little program or documentary that I got from the television. Okay, and you know, sometimes they talk and you hear cock up, can you hear something where them say that maybe they wasn't even supposed to say. So listen to this. I'm going to go just before the 52 seconds. Here it is. So they're talking about basically the source of the Queen's wealth, where she has inherited all of her wealth from, that carriage, how many tons of gold it's made out of. And our ancestors loved gold. We've been mining for thousands of years. And what we do know is that when we were invaded, our countries were invaded, the invaders would loot the gold and they would take it back to their own lands, and quite often they would smelt it down. So all of the wonderful designs and the artistic works that our ancestors would have done using gold, molding it, designing it, and all the rest of it, a lot of it has been smelted down, and I suspect a lot of it is in this carriage right now, which is now the King's carriage, as the Queen of England, Elizabeth II, has now passed. But take a little listen to this, family.
1,000 masterpieces, prize racehorses, and a fleet of Bentleys and Rolls-Royces. Her colossal wealth also includes crown land and investments that she inherited from her black nobility ancestors.
Did you hear that, family? That she inherited from who? A sizable amount of her wealth. Where did she get it from? Here it is. My ears cock up. Come more time and I listen to the television. But I'm glad I catch this little bit here because I'm shocked. And that actually got me starting to do some research. Listen to this again, in case you missed it.
And a fleet of Bentleys and Rolls-Royces. Her colossal wealth also includes crown land and investments that she inherited from her black nobility ancestors.
Wow, that she inherited from her black nobility ancestors. They know, yeah, that there was a black nobility ruling here in England and across Europe. They know of the existence of these African nobles, but they don't teach us it in their school, colleges, or universities. They hide it. Why are they hiding it? We know why. So once you start doing the research, family, you will find that there have been and do exist African kings, queens, nobles, Moors, saints. We have been known as Africans by so many different names that you could actually be reading something that is telling you that it was made by an African, or the Africans invented it in ancient times. You could be reading about, you know, groups of people, populations who were Africans, but because of the names that they have given to them, you won't even know that you're reading about our people. And that's what I was finding. And I've actually started collecting, you know, a whole list of names that we were known by. Moors is just one of the many names that we as Africans have been known by, and you can find us, find out about us. And so by looking at African artifacts, and I want to rise up Dr. Marie Charles again for the works that she's been doing, because she has been looking at African artifacts that you would think was made in Africa, but was actually found in Britain and made in Britain. Volumes of it, stone engravings with African symbols. If you know the symbols, if you go to the museums, you can see and have, you know, eyewitness accounts of what, you know, our ancestors made and created. You can now access a huge amount of information about ancient times in these really obscure books. And once you start reading and you see the sources, you just follow the sources and you begin to uncover that which has been buried from us for a long time. And so, you know, this book, The Black Anglo-Saxon King, King Offa, actually challenges, you know, what academia has been telling us for far too long. And we are, you know, resurrecting that which has been buried. So what you're looking at here, just here, for example, on my left, maybe you're right, is inside, the top picture is inside the Abbey Monastery in Scotland. Yeah, the one below is inside the monastery in Kilwa in Tanzania, East Africa. And those foundations and those arches which form the foundation of castles, kingdoms, bridges, and so much more you find over Africa. And the earliest ones are in Africa, which tells you that the original architects who came up with that design structure were African builders. And they took that same building design and across the rest of the globe. And you can find buildings even today, the cathedrals, the castles, the ancient castles all across Europe, with the very same foundations underneath, the African blueprint or black print for building story buildings that will live and for hundreds and in some cases thousands of years. Wow, wow, wow. How did we dress during those times? How did we look? Well, when you look at the artifacts, when you look at the history, when you read about, you know, our people's love for material and wealth and making jewelry and all the rest of it, you can then begin to see that we wore it on ourselves, a lot of it on ourselves. And if you look at the castles as well, the ancient castles, and you begin to imagine what they must have looked like. And there are descriptions of some of them in some of the books as well. Again, you begin to realize how we looked, how we dressed, how we moved, the sorts of places that we lived in. It will blow your mind, family. And they're not talking about it. They're hiding it from us. But once you do the research, you will find it for yourself. This here in the middle, the Brandub board game predates chess. There's 48 holes in this board game, and it was actually found in Ireland. Brandub is a Celtic or Celtic board game. The dub means black. When you're reading in history, especially around Ireland and everywhere, anything that says dub or duff, it means black. This Brandub game, yeah, is over 1,500 years old and is associated with the Vikings who brought it to all parts of Scandinavia, Britain, and most of Europe and Russia. And those Vikings, I tell you, were Africans. What you have on the left is, and on the right of the board game, are two images from Dr. Marie, from the front cover of one of Dr. Marie's books. And the one on my left is 6th century Ireland, the time of the Vikings and the Saxons. And if you look at the head of that 6th century Irish pole that might have been, you know, like a lamppost or a pole, you know, in some building structure somewhere. And if you look at the head on the game, that was also found in Ireland. And if you have a look at the head of the next post, very similar, because Dr. Marie put them both together, that one on my right is from Nigeria. So what that shows you is that from Nigeria, right across through Spain, through France, up to England, our people traveled and brought, you know, their skills with them. Look at that cultural continuity, which is what she calls it. Those pegs next to the game, you know, this game, you'll have to, family, do some research about this game, because this game has given life to so many modern games. But again, we don't get the credit for it. We look at the design work that's gone into it. Our ancestors created this board game. They played this board game. Basically, the king would be in the middle. He'd be surrounded by his knights. Yeah, and then on the outside were his enemies. And the enemies were trying to get the king and overthrow the king, and his knights and his barons would be responsible for trying to save the king. Fantastic game. We don't get the credit for it, and there's so much more that we don't get credit for. Here, engraved or in the tapestry of some of the artwork, our ancestors left evidence of some of our stories. So sometimes, you know, not only look for archaeological evidence in the museums, but even in art, even in tapestry, there are powerful messages here that tell you, you know, what was happening and what our people, you know, our people were having to fight. So on one side, you've got a mosaic. This was Africans in Italy who were having, you know, to fight and having to battle against, you know, that the pointed beard looking person of a different complexion. And then the other tapestry is packed. You have to really study it to see what's going on. There's a king and a queen in the castle. I don't know if you can see my cursor. So there's a king and a queen in the castle, a black king and a black queen, and maybe the princes, there's other people up there in the castle. And downstairs, you've got, the castle is surrounded by a moat and a drawbridge, because that's how our people used to build their castles. Why? Because there were wild people who would come out the forest and the bushes. There were wild people who would always come and try and attack the castles. Quite often the castles would also be inside of city walls and city gates, because we had to protect ourselves from wild people in the forest. And in this tapestry, you can see that the wild people are the pale-skinned people, the Caucasians, with hair that goes down to the floor. They're not wearing any clothes. Their body is just clothes covered with lots of hair and long beards and long hair from their heads as well. And you can see our people in their clothes, wearing bandanas that you would associate with the Moors or with pirates or whatever books you read, you know, but you can see the bandanas associated with black nobility, and they're having to fight using bow and arrows to keep the long-haired people out. Our history is everywhere, but you know what? It's up to us to rewrite that history, because every generation has its purpose, and our generation is to reveal the truth and to reverse the brainwashing. And Karanja Karanja said it would be the mission of African social scientists at home and in the diaspora to devote their energies to the radical reconstruction of the disciplines in which we have been trained. So all the disciplines in which we have been trained, the sciences, the medical, the history, you know, all of them, you know, archaeology, astronomy, astrology, all of the disciplines, now we have to study them and rewrite them, because we are the originators of all of those disciplines, and our people are simply just not getting the credit, even though they deserve to get the credit for those works. So just a little bit of backdrop there. Let me just click to exit that presentation and minimize it again on the screen. Yes, I've stopped screen share as well. So I certainly hope that you found that brief presentation interesting. That's just, again, hopefully to maybe inspire even one person to go and do some research. That would be absolutely phenomenal. Right, I'm going to now read a little bit from the book itself. And while I bring the book up, let me just play a little something for you that I wasn't able to play before because it didn't have, I didn't have any volume. And while I'm looking for that, Sister Verna, let me spotlight you and tell me about the comments that you're receiving in the chat, both via either via Zoom or via YouTube.
Yes, well, the comments are just so positive. Lots of positive comments coming in. Lots of people saying they're buying the book or they have just purchased the book. We've got people from Kissimmee, Florida, somebody from Cali, somebody, you know, from all over. It seems people are able to access and purchase the book, and they are doing just that. People are just so proud and saying how excellent this program is, and just really, you know, thanking you so much for bringing it to their attention, thanking you for writing the book. Yeah, so you got some really, really good comments, and people are saying, you know, please do leave a review once you purchase your book. Yeah, leave a review on Amazon as well. Yes, thank you so much for doing that, and bringing it to our attention as well. So yeah, it's all looking really well.
Thank you so much, family. Much appreciate love, much appreciate love. Thanks for the feedback as well, Sister Verna. Oh, brilliant, brilliant. It makes it worthwhile because, you know, we all know how much it takes to labor over something like this. And once we share it with the family and get this sort of feedback, it's just so inspiring. So thank you. Thank you all so much. Okay, well, I've actually got the book in front of me now, so I'm going to do just a little bit of reading. I mean, I'm not going to read too much because obviously I want you to buy the book. So I'm just going to give you a bit of a flavor of how it reads. Now, which chapter shall I start with? Let me, I was going to do that one. Yeah, so just to say, the book is conversational, okay? There are parts in the book where I ask questions. And the reason why I ask the questions is because I want the young people to think of the answers to those questions, okay? And I want the parents maybe to use those questions to give their young people as assignments, yeah, to go away and do as well. So, let me take it from here. Yeah, so before I actually started talking about King Offa himself, I actually spent a bit of time in the first few chapters of the book, bringing what I thought was some pertinent information that our family needed to be aware of. And I wanted to talk about how we as Africans had actually come to be in Britain and Europe, because I felt that by doing that, it will give us a better understanding of the environment within which King Offa reigned. And, you know, I didn't want people to pick up the book and then for it to be a kind of vacuum, like, woof, King Offa has just descended in England during Anglo-Saxon times. No, we've been here for hundreds of thousands of years, at least hundreds of thousands of years. And some of you are thinking, whoa, hang on, I think she's got her figures wrong. No, family, the archaeological evidence is actually there. And so by the time we get to King Offa, we had actually been reigning, we had actually been occupying, we were here as the indigenous people in this part of the world. And so I spend the first couple of chapters actually giving a bit of context to that. And I also give you my sources. I tell you where I get the information from. So for example, when I say that we as Africans have been around for hundreds of thousands of years, people like Churchwood actually spend a lifetime doing the research. Now, what he discovered, in case you don't know, let me just go back a little bit. In the book Stolen Legacy, and I write about this on page 17 in my book, in the book Stolen Legacy, the author, G. James, he shows us that over the centuries, archaeologists, researchers, and historians have accumulated substantial evidence of a global African civilization in the fields of arts, crafts, industries, mining, calendars, agriculture, cosmology, astronomy, architecture, building construction, monarchies, laws, religions, and so much more. Archaeological excavations around the world continue to unearth the richness and the creativity of us as Africans in Africa, African antiquity. And they're unearthing the evidence of this family, not just in Africa, but all around the world. Our ancestors has buried in tombs all around the world evidence of their greatness. And sadly today, it's not us who are unearthing these tombs, and it's not us who are the first ones in these tombs to see the evidence that our ancestors are leaving behind. So quite often what we are left with is what they want to show us. And we don't see what they've melted down. We don't see what they've destroyed. We don't see the defacing of the objects and the artifacts that goes on in the basement of their museums, but it happens. We don't see the whitewashing. Quite often we don't see the whitewashing, but some of us who are familiar with the walls of Egypt and the images that our ancestors left of themselves on those walls will know, if we've seen the original, that what we're looking at today is a lot of whitewashed images. So anyway, Churchward, he used, I've said here, an interesting mathematical summation to predict the global population of small-statured Africans who lived all over the world. He calculated the first wave of settlers to be 260,000 years ago. He calls them the Stellamios people, who left evidence of stone building structures in Africa, from southern Africa. And I go on to say that, interestingly, by the time of their arrival in Britain, they are described as hunter-gatherers. They lived a nomadic lifestyle, hunted together for wild animals, fished and gathered fruits, nuts, seeds, greens, and medicinal herbs to eat. Their tools were sharp-edged spears, type implements of differing lengths, and long-shaped shields, similar to those used by the Zulus of South Africa. So we can see, family, the similarities between the tools that the Asian Africans were using in Britain to the tools that Asian Africans were using in Africa. Their culture evolved in Britain through to 4,000 years before the Coming Era, and later generations, family, are actually, of these people, are actually credited with bringing animal husbandry, domesticated oxen, cattle, sheep, and goats to Britain. We brought animal husbandry and the idea of domesticating cattle to Britain. There's some wonderful illustrations in the book that have been painted by my illustrator in the Gambia, and there's other illustrations in the book as well. And from the skull remains and the DNA examples taken from these ancient people, teams of Western specialists have been able to rebuild their facial features. The results has enabled us to see what these original people of Britain looked like and confirm that they were dark-skinned, like the people of sub-Sahara Africa. Cheddar Man, I discuss him in chapter 6 of the book, a dark-skinned person who represented what some of the people would have looked like during the era. And I believe they've gone part of the way, family, with Cheddar Man, but they haven't gone the whole way. The second wave of Africans to actually come to Britain, because we left Africa in waves, and there's documented evidence and archaeological evidence of the different waves of Africans that migrated out of Africa. Just like, you know, and we got the wave of Africans that came recently from the Caribbean, from Jamaica, Barbados, etc. And before that, we had the wave of Africans that came in and fought in the world wars. And before that, you know, there's evidence of the waves of Africans that came here during Roman times. So there are all these waves, and there's a wave of us that came over 10,000 BCE as well, from the shores of Africa by the Mediterranean. We spread across Spain, France, Britain, and beyond. So by the time the original population of hunter-gatherers had also grown and swollen in numbers, you had quite an established African stronghold and presence here in Britain. So up to 10,000 years ago, massive, massive stronghold of an African presence in Britain. And at that time, it was all Africans. It's widely believed that Europeans seem to have come into this region, maybe giving them credit about 6,000 years ago. But prior to that, the whole world was Black. Check out the sources that I give you in the book. So a little bit more reading, and then I'm going to go back. So this section now is the Ancient Africans of Britain. In prehistoric times, just like today, the African race can be found throughout the world. In his book, Riddles of Prehistoric Times, 1911, James Anderson notes, I quote, "The little dark Welshmen, the Scots, the Black Celts to the west of the Shannon River in Ireland, as well as the same kind of men in Brittany and Aquitaine in France, the Gaunches of the Canary Islands and the Berber in Africa are all probably remnants of the African race." So he's writing back then in a book that we were never expected to read, that the people of Wales, Scotland, Ireland, Brittany, France, the Canary Islands were all the same people, remnants of Africa. And then I go on to say the African Phoenicians, who were prolific sailors and navigators, were known to have frequented England to acquire tin. Tin is an important metal acquired in the process of bonding metals together. This tells us that during this period, the people of the region were mining tin as well as trading with other African sailors. To this day, there exists deep underground ancient mining tunnels in England as evidence of ancient tin mining activities. So we need to be thinking, and I'm suggesting that we ought to be thinking here, of undertaking research into these ancient mining tunnels in England to see if we can have projects that will enable us to go and take a look at them. I know that many of them have been closed up and locked up. They're probably on land that has been fenced off and is not accessible to the public, but we need to create projects that will give us access to it, because we need to bring our own archaeologists in to be reviewing some of this evidence. So I go on to say, what the archaeological evidence points to is a relationship between the population of Africa, the Iberian, Mediterranean, and Britain's Neolithic occupants. They knew of each other's existence. These populations followed a route that became the traditional migration route into Britain. And you can find and read more about that in a book called Population Replacement in Early Neolithic Britain by Brace et al. They supply the archaeological evidence. Just a tiny bit more. By this point, some of you are probably wondering about fashion and styles during that period. Don't worry, we do touch on that later in the book. African fashionists were in evidence throughout the eras as well. So it's interesting to note that African women in Tafarat, Morocco, in North Africa, were using Narcissus caricerius, I know I might pronounced it wrong, but basically these are shells, to make decorative shell beads to adorn themselves with, yeah? So they get the shell beads, family, they put holes in them and string it along, and they'd wear them as necklaces, etc., around their necks, their hands and legs. And they found some of these decorative beads, and it's dated as 82,000 years ago. They found some of these beads in Morocco and dated it 82,000 years old. Family, studies also uncovered a similar but older bead making industry in Southern Africa. African artisans painted shells in red ochre. Evidence exists of similar beads being found in North Africa and Asia. This confirms Africans made and distributed these shell beads over 80,000 years ago, and they reached Europe. There's evidence of these shell beads in Europe dated 40,000 years ago. This evidences the existence of an ancient beautification culture and provides insights into ancient human behavior. These dates testify to the ancient existence of African modernity. Wow, wow, wow. There's so much, I could just continue reading, but because of time, I'm going to leave it there, family, because the book is full of this kind of commentary, and it is also got the evidence and the sources of where I got the evidence from. And so get the book, check out the sources for yourself, do more research, and you're going to hear later from Baguette, who read the book, and she was inspired, and she's going to tell you for herself what she has been inspired to do as a result of this book. So thank you all so much for listening to that reading. I've gone over just a little bit. So Paul Abina is probably waiting in the wings, and I know that he has a very tight schedule. So I'm going to look for Paul now and bring him on board to say a few words to us. Paul Abina, you in the house? Paul, are you there? Okay, I'm not hearing a shout from Paul.
I can see Paul waving. He needs, Paul, if you can unmute yourself.
Oh, yes, he's there. Fantastic. I've seen you. Let's bring you into the spotlight. Awesome.
It's not often I'm told I'm not trying to speak, so that's a one-off. That's a one-off.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today, Paul, on this important day in my life's journey. But this is the journey that I know that you've been down so many times before. And I was even ringing you on that journey as well to ask about, illustrations and stuff, because I so love the illustrations on your timeline. But please introduce yourself and share any few words of encouragement, or just share with us.
Well, it's really, really your day. And I've got to say, my admiration for you pulling the book off. It's a fantastic thing. I'm always in mind of Sister Demila Yekwe, who did a book called British Racism, Miseducation, and the African Child back in the late 1980s. And I remember distinctly her saying that she realized that she could no longer afford the luxury of silence. And so she was not naturally a confident speaker, but she wrote the book and then had to back up the book. And in doing so, the knowledge was shared. And she was a fantastic energy. Performance poetry as well, she did as well. But you see, performing your poetry and getting into academic arguments is a totally different is more formal. So so I applaud you for doing that. I was so pleased to hear about Dr. Clyde Winters and Dr. Maria Charles. I want to also call out Abu Bakr Madden Al-Shabazz in Wales as well, who has a store of information regarding the same area. And it's fantastic that you brought it forward in this palatable, manageable, accessible format. And it's a kind of thing. Please think on this. My first day teaching in prison 33 years ago, I had 4 IRA guys were there, and they were in the group. And one of them, he said his name. I started to laugh and smile, and he kind of scowled at me and said, "What are you laughing at?" And I said, "Well, your name. That's the name of the first bare knuckle Irish champion in the USA." And he says, "You know him?" And I said, "Yeah, why would I not?" And but the reason I'm mentioning this is that the leader of their crew just said after about an hour, he just said, "We've got the same history." So those guys who are informed of human history, they know. Most people are not informed of human history, and the game that's being played to restrict, or as I call it, corralled. You get dehumanized, you're placed in a corral where you put animals. So I always use a symbol of a decagon to represent this thing. Decagon, why? Decade, century, millennia, and then they restrict us down to the last 2 to 3 millennia, as though this age of Pisces that we're now leaving is all that there's ever been or was of importance. The reason I'm mentioning Pisces, because we're going into Aquarius, is because when you're embracing the adornment protocols that the women were using back 80,000 years ago, etc., to get your mind expanded. Remember, Lonnie Liston Smith did a track in 1981 called Expansions. It says, expand your mind to understand we almost live in peace today. Extend your hand to meet the hand of those of all mankind today. Now watch this. Expanding your mind across from being told about colonization of 150 years, of enslavement by Europeans of 350 years, of enslavement by Arabs of 1,400 years. Expanding your mind past those dynamics means that you may get into this thing of go and say ancient Kemet, 3,100 BC for the dynasties, or if you read Robin Walker's work, going back to 5,600 BC. But even that is nothing. And nothing. And so therefore, if you get into this, get into the concept of looking at the precession of the equinoxes, periods of, I use 2,150 years, it means that we have a base understanding of 25,800 years. And that means we have to go wider. And so they must have known the cycle before that. So we've already gone to 50-odd thousand years. And then if they knew it was coming, so you see, it just goes on like that. It is an absolute nonsense to restrict us. So we're in the spirit of your work. I'd like to talk about in 1926, the early 1920s, we had the Harlem History Club. And one of the key players there was Arturo Schomburg, the Puerto Rican German mix. And what he said was a 3-stage aspect. He said, first of all, learn the history of your oppressor. Learn the history of those controlling you. That's what I call white studies. Now watch this. Why is it called white studies? Dr. Malana Karenga said, 3 schools of black psychology. You have traditional, which is white psychology applied to black people. Reformist, which is a black component added to white psychology. Then you've got the radical, which is where you make reference, psychological reference to your own culture, and you study white culture. So on that, it's necessary to know the kind of history you're talking to do that study, that you can't be restricted. You have to look at people's humanity, including those white people who don't know and those people who do know. You quoting Albert Churchward. A lot of the sources we have are not African sources for this information. They're European white sources. So we can't be lumping all those people together who want to try and restrict minds. So we have to know who's in our interest. So as Schomburg says, look at the history of the people oppressing you, then study world history, because once you connect with your humanity, you're going to go to the wider humanity. And what do we say? The oldest human beings on the planet are African. So therefore, you are the mothers and fathers of humanity. So therefore, what do you get to a situation where the adult, the parent, is frightened of the picnic? So we've got to have an understanding that who and what we are as humanity and civilization. And then finally, hello. I love technology.
Yes, you're still with us, yeah.
Okay, sorry. And then finally, that what Schomburg said was, after learning the history of your controller or your oppressor, learn world history, is to then have an ongoing understanding of the thread of your own history, like the DNA going all the way through it. All the way through it. Now, the last two things I'll say. First of all, Drusilla Dungy Houston, who in 1926 did a book called The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire. I always loved her quotation where she says, out of anthropology, ethnology, geology, paleontology, archaeology, and it says, and as well as history, it said, well, the things that we've dug up, irrefutable arsenal of facts that will challenge Harvard, Yale, and cowardly scholarship of our own Black race. These things that they dare not refute. That's because she's done her work. She's done the information. And then it says, how can a leadership point the way forward ways utterly ignorant of our past? And I go that right there, how doesn't matter who it is. How do you carry on and lead people if you don't know about yourself, your potentials, your powers, which have been there from time immemorial? And so what I'd like to just finish with, John Elton Bembury, Brother Bimby. John Elton Bembury, or Bimby, was a key influence on a guy called Malcolm Little whilst he was incarcerated. And Bimby was just a guy who knew stuff. He was a career criminal, but he knew stuff. And that, to me, when you get hold of information like you've put in this book, you talk about that information to people, you never know who those people are going to become. And of course, Malcolm Little became Malcolm X, Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz or Amawali. So this is why I love to work in prisons, because you never know the power and potential that's been locked away there. The same way we've been restricted from the knowledge of ourselves, the true kind of knowledge of ourselves, it's the same way that these guys been literally incarcerated and kept away. I want to sometimes, like I say, awaken that power and potential. And it's through works by people like you that this kind of work gets out there, this information gets out there, and we transform minds. So I'm a child of Ogun, so I always love the idea of transmutation. I love that part, the power of change. And then, of course, my brother Oshosi, who makes the pathway. You're walking in the spirit of Oshosi as you open the pathway to understanding and learning. So, sister, like I said, your day, thank you for this work. It's powerful. Now, could I just finish by saying this? Last night, I took my son to see Wakanda Forever here in Eltham. I'm on a Sainsbury's car park in Eltham in Southeast London. And after I showed him the film, we went to see the film. We then went to see The Woman King. But then someone was smoking a vape under the alarm in the cinema, and we all had to come out. So he's pissed at the minute. He's really pissed. But what I did tell him, I said, young boy, it's called Obiaku. And I said, young boy, I said, you do know that this place, go back into the early 1990s, a guy called Stephen Lawrence was murdered here. And yet we're here today watching Wakanda Forever. So sometimes we have to understand the small wins that we get, and then the mighty power that can be built up with us as we start to understand things beyond that. So, Sister Shanice, thank you for your general work, for all the other work you're doing, but especially thank you for this very powerful book, which is Expanding Consciousness.
Thank you so much, Brother Paul Abina, a phenomenal historian and writer in your own right. Done, has some incredible works out there, family. And you can go to my channel, go back in my videos, and find a couple of shows that he's done on the Sista Shanice platform. And it's, as always, it's been an honor being able to host him and to have you help celebrate today. Thank you so much, my brother Paul. Thank you. Rise up, rise up. And family in the house, for everybody in the house. I'm seeing Sister Amra in the house. I can see Sister Forget. Dr. Clyde Winters is in the house. He's coming up next. Woo! Brother Norsi in the house. Good to be able to see you, the voice, and from the other end of the phone on my phone-in shows, and also so a regular participant on the Wednesday evening Sista Shanice show. So he's typing in the comment section in YouTube. Good to be able to put a face to you, my brother. Also, I see Sister Carmen. She's turned off her camera now, but she's in the house. It's good to see Sister Joan, I saw earlier in the house. Brother Olatunji. So many names that I recognize, and personal family members. Brother Michael in the house, so that means young Corey must be in the house. I really love it when I know that the young people are in the house listening, because they've got the years ahead of them to be able to do the research. And so it's really exciting to be able to reach young people. Okay, I'm just going to gonna slide. Let me just catch up back with time. So without further ado, let me bring on to the front screen our beloved, you've heard me call his name so often, our beloved Dr. Winters. Let's put the spotlight on Dr. Winters. Woo! Greetings, Dr. Winters. How are you? I'm not hearing you. You're on mute.
Oh, I hope you can hear me. I'm fine, and I'm very excited because you know, I had sent out a call last year because, you know, I'm very tired. You know, I'm an FB Foundational Black American, but I got tired of seeing a lot of my brothers and sisters, Foundational Black Britons, always talking about, you know, Afro-American scholars. FBA, I got tired of that. I got tired of that BS. And the reason I got tired of it is because we need to see the story of our brothers and sisters over there. I mean, just like, okay, yeah, Malcolm X had his life. I had my life, but there's other people over there that have had a great life, but they haven't told their stories. That the youth over there need to know about their elders and need to know about the people just before them. They need to know the struggles that Foundational Black Britons went to. And so I gave out this call. I said, I want to start this research group. And I'd like, in a sense, to do one just for the, mainly for the people in the UK. Okay, I've been on Sister Shanice's show. And you know, Sister Shanice, I'm sorry to say, she's a big tease. She teases you. She teases you because I call Sister Shanice, I call Shanice the Oracle. And I call her the Oracle because she'll say something and she won't really think about what she said, but it'll impact on your mind. And it'll make you start to really wonder, hey, maybe I should check that out. So anyway, you know, Sister Shanice, when I say she's a big tease, is that she told me about her research on architecture in East Africa. And I wanted her to really talk about that good stuff. That's why I'm glad that she mentioned that in her slides, that relationship between architecture in East Africa and architecture in Europe. But to get back to the story, so we had the class, you know, Shanice joined the class. And I said, Shanice, we need somebody to do something for the youth. We need somebody who's going to write a book and tell the youth about their greatness. Because see, you know, I started a research institute called the Youth Mandam Fodio Institute. And I base this on the educational you know, stuff of Ousmane Dan Fodio. See, Ousmane Dan Fodio, he made it clear that for the African youth to really grow, they had to have heroes, they had to have heroes, they had to know about great people who've occurred in history. And so I told Sister Shanice that she had to write a book for our young people. She has to write a book where children, teenagers can begin to see themselves in history. And that's what she did with her book. You know, this book is so beautiful in the sense that she combined it. You know, Shanice said that I'm going to write a book. I want to tell them about Offa, but I also want them to know about their general history. And so what she did is that she put in her book an overview of the history of African people in the UK. Then she went into specifically King Offa. The book is so wonderful, it's so inspiring, and most importantly, it's part of that drive. And I'm hoping, I'm hoping that many people in the UK in the next decade will start to respect their own historians, their own social scientists, their own psychologists, and begin to really expand an understanding among, the FBB, that they can do these things. Because see, if you always just talk about African Americans, and that's like telling your youth, oh, go over to America and get lost. Oh, that's BS. We want people, in a sense. You have so many great people over there, so many great, children that have the potential to really electrify people in Britain. And that's what Shanice has done in this book. In this book, she's going to, in a sense, create new scholars, new intellectuals, new explorers. What do I mean by explorers? When I talk about explorers, I'm talking about people who explore, in a sense, the intricacies of their history. And that's what Shanice did. Shanice, she wrote a document that is not only an expansive document about a specific king. She talks about the hairstyle. She talks about the whole idea. She even gives a nice section about the femininity that was going on there. So that she's written a book that will make boys and girls see their place, in history, and know that they can go further. And so this is what makes this so exciting, is that I think that she's the beginning. And by her being the beginning, we're going to get other things out there. We want people to know. See, I want to tell you something. Your kids, your FBB, Foundational Black Britain, Foundational Black British, these kids need to see themselves. When I hear people talk about how they changed the passports, and every time they got close to it, it makes me feel that, hey, this is something that we need to do. When I read about Oliver Cromwell, and I read in a sense, and this is very important, you see, we had these books talk about how the Irish became white. And so automatically we say, aha, these Irish, they were already white. How did they turn white? No, it's more complicated than that. You see, and what Sister Shanice has touched upon, she's touched upon the fact is that many of those Irish who were sent to the Caribbean, sent to the 13 colonies, these were Black people, they even recorded Lindsay, who was sent to Jamaica. Come on now. See, that shows that connection. And see, when these kids, in a sense, when they read the book about a Black king, when they read about Offa, what they're going to do, in a sense, is they're going to say, damn, I got a place in this picture. Think about when you were young. Think about those times that people had the nerve enough to tell you to go home. And they had the nerve enough to tell you that you should just give up on everything because you're worthless. But see, what the book about King Offa does is that it lets the youth know that you are at home. Not only are you at home, but this is a place that you built. You were the architects. You were the engineers. You built everything here. You introduced the culture. It's you. But see, the point too is that it's very important to understand this. And this is what makes, Sister Shanice, you're that secret agent that they didn't want nobody to know about. Because see, remember, when you know that Oliver Cromwell, he went before Parliament. And he said that we're sending these Black, he didn't say Black, we're sending these Irish Catholics. We're sending them to North America. We're sending them to the Caribbean, Jamaica, Barbados. We're sending them as chattel slaves. There were no chattel slaves. Everybody had an attention. Even the Africans in the Caribbean, even the Africans in the 13 colonies, they had an indenture. That meant that they only had to work 7 years and they would be given land. They would be given property. They could become landowners, but they made sure to send the FBB, Foundational Black Britons. They sent you away as a chattel slave, and he declared in Parliament, I don't want these people ever coming back. Sister Shanice, you're back, baby. You're back, baby. And not only are you back, but see, Sister Shanice, you're electrifying. See, you're electrifying. I'm hoping that other people in the FBB community will do book reviews, write book reviews for the newspapers over there. You know, maybe get on some of the radio shows, you know, and maybe in a sense, you know, next October, I think that's your Black History Month. Next October, I'm hoping that people will be able, in a sense, to know about King Offa, and the book will be even have a further spread, you see. Because see, as I said, is that Marie Charles, she's shocked the whole world. I taught Afro-American African history. I taught that for 46 years. 46 years. I wrote and published many articles on you know, the history of African people. And I did not know until Marie Charles, Dr. Marie Charles, I did not know until I read her work that many Black Catholics from Ireland and Scotland were horribly treated. They tried to commit genocide. And what made it so bad is that Oliver Cromwell was a Black man himself. And this is the hardest thing for me. I'm over here in the United States, growing up as a descendant of a foreign slave, you know, of an African slave, and a descendant of Choctaw Indians in Mississippi. Growing up with that background, I can't fathom, and it's still hard for me to fathom that Black people could be so horrible to Black people. You know, just off of your religion. Oliver Cromwell killed women, children, you know, babies, burned them, killed them, did everything he could to them. He separated the men from the women, and he told the men, oh, what we're gonna do, niggas, oh, I'm sorry. What we're gonna do is we're gonna let you go, and you're gonna fight in France, you're gonna fight in Germany. And you know, you're gonna fight while we're gonna protect your women. That dirty man. What he did is that he sent their women and their children and the old people and anybody else who was left, he made sure to send them to Jamaica, Barbados, and it's another island I can't think of right now, and to North America.
Montserrat.
Try to destroy you, to send you away, to exile you. He never thought a Lindsay would come back to the UK and say, damn ya, this is my land too. Sister Shanice, thank you. Thank you for taking the challenge. Thank you for writing a book that's going to turn, it's going to turn the history of FBB around, because see, I don't care. You can learn all you want about the Afro-Americans. You can learn all you want about people in Africa. But when you start to understand that it was Africans who were already in the UK, it was Phoenicians already in the UK. And this is what makes this wonderful, this beautiful, well-written book in a language that anybody can read and understand. A welcome addition, and hopefully a foundation of the scholarship that's going to come from other people in Britain. FBB, Foundational Black British, all the way. Thank you. Thank you for a wonderful book.
Oh, we thank you so much, Dr. Winters. You know, you are the reason, a very important part of the reason why we have this book with us today. So we thank you so much for all your great works. And again, you know, you can go to Dr. Clive Winters's website and YouTube channel, and he's got so many wonderful videos that he's done. He's also got a few videos on my platform as well, where you can learn about the works of Dr. Dr. Winters. And he's studied history, as he said, for over 40 years. And so, you know, he's done a research, family, and he's a researcher and historian himself, a formidable one. He's written over 30+ books, a countless number of papers that have been peer reviewed. So it's been an honor, absolute honor to study at your feet. And I'm forever grateful. Thank you so much. So Dr. Winters, yeah, he was a key family and instrumental and such an inspiration. And we need people like Dr. Winters' family, others who, you know, someone was saying in the chat, it's not a competition, you know, but we do need people who are trailblazers. We need people who are going to encourage those who are prepared to, you know, try at least. And, you know, I would never consider myself to be an author or a writer. No. But, you know, there was a story that needed to be told. And I had people like Dr. Winters, my sister Almi, Verna, Sasha, Aaron, others around me who were like, yeah, man, go on, do it, man. You can do it. And as someone in the chat has said, it's an easy read. That's because I wouldn't be able to write a complex book if I tried. But if you want a book that's an easy read that allows you to understand our history simply and quotes the sources and the references, this is the one, family. This is the one to start from. So thank you again, Dr. Winters. I want to thank everybody. Wow, looking at some of the comments in the chat. Thank you so much for the compliments. Someone has said someone's already written a negative review, somebody who's suffering from some kind of cognitive dissonance, they said. It's probably some white people. We're going to get a lot of that, you know, where they don't want to admit that there were Africans who were Anglo-Saxons, that there were Africans who were Celts, that there were Africans who were Irish or Scottish, or that the original people of Wales and England were Africans, because they've been miseducated as well. And not only have they been miseducated, but they've been given a history that they want to hold on to for dear life, because it gives them that sense of purpose, doesn't it? And if you take that away from them, which it does need to be taken away from, where are they left? What history are they left with? If we take back the history that they have colonized and that they have taken from us, they're just left with a history of coming out of the caves on all fours, and hardly a history that you want to be associated with. Anyway, let's quickly move on. I've got another guest to bring on, family. But before I do, I want to share my screen and I want to let you see this and have Verna pop on and say a few words afterwards as well. Check out the works of this. My daughter Sasha commissioned it and I absolutely love it, and certainly hope that you will love it too. Here we go. Here's King Offa.
Thank you, Sista Shanice, for writing this book about me, for sacrificing your time to tell my story. History can be lost if you don't take the time to read. Let this book be a guide to the next generation of young kings and queens. For so many years, my life has been credited to imposters buried under lies. But the time has come, the truth will arise. Thank you for seeking me out and finding the truth. Now let's spread the word that I was one of many black kings who sat on the throne and called old England home.
Go on, King Offa talking to us there and thanking us for bringing him to life, thanking me for writing the book, and I'm thanking you in advance, family, for spreading the word about King Offa as well. The next person I want to bring on for a very short while is Sister Berna, because I want her to give some feedback. You know, she's been monitoring the chat. Where's Sister Berna? She's been monitoring the
I am right here.
Okay, let's spotlight you. Fantastic. At spotlight. Oops, hang on. Sorry, moving too quickly here. Welcome back, Sister V. You've been monitoring the chat. I wonder if you can share with us some of the messages. Oh, you're on mute. Unmute yourself.
Okay, yep.
We're hearing you now.
You're
Yeah.
hearing me now.
How's the family in the chat? What they saying?
Yeah, well, it's all positive. People are just loving this, and it's people are buying the book as well. We've got people from all over that's actually purchasing the book, which is really good to see. We've got somebody from Kissimmee in Florida. We've got somebody from Addis Ababa. We've got somebody who's from Enfield here in London, England, who wants to buy a few copies as well. People are just, somebody on the iPhone who said they've just ordered theirs as well. So, you know, people, it's really important that we buy this book. We must resurrect our great ancestors. Don't let them die. It's up to us. We have to keep them and their story and our history alive. It's up to us. So, you know, this is just a start, I'm sure, of many more books to come, but it's up to us to ensure that we pass the story on to our children and our children's children. We must know that we are a great race of people, and the only way that we can do that is by keeping our history alive. So yes, the chats both on live stream on YouTube, you know, people are saying it's very inspiring. They wanting to know where to get it, so I've been posting the link. Need to post a link on YouTube as well. So, but on YouTube, if you just type in Amazon, the Black King of Anglo-Saxon England, and put in Shanice Lindsay, and it will come up automatically. You can purchase your book there, and you can get it in Kindle as well as in a hard copy. So yeah, please do go ahead and purchase the book. It's a good read for the whole family.
Thank you so much, Berna, for that report back. And thank you to everyone in the chat for your comments, for your encouragement and your inspiration. I am so grateful. And as you celebrate me today, I want to be celebrating you tomorrow. I'd love to hear my name called, like I'm calling Dr. Winter's name and Dr. Marie Charles and my sister Alwyn and Verna's name, to say that they were the ones, you know, who inspired and encouraged me. I'm hoping that my name will be called one day to say that I inspired someone, you know, to write. That they read that book and then they went on to maybe check out one of the sources and find out about some more of our African kings and queens, and then went on to write. Certainly hope that's going to happen. Another book that I can recommend, actually, people, when you get some time, you can't see it because of the screen at the moment, is a book that's written by Dr. John Johnson that talks about the African rulers of Scotland and the British Isles, and you will be falling off your chair, family, where he gives you the list of names of of African kings and queens. But anyway, but today it's about King Offa. So let me get back to that and bring the next guest that I've got lined up, which is our brother Momo. So let me just find brother Momo in the house. Rise up. Let's see where brother Momo is. Are you there, brother Momo?
Yes, I'm hearing you, Sister Shanice.
Okay, let me find you. Where are you, brother Momo? Give me a wave.
Just give us a wave.
It says Mama Rap.
Oh, yes, I can see you now. Okay. Yeah, I was looking for someone waving. Thank you. Right, let me just add you to the spotlight. Welcome, brother Momo. Brother Momo has been, wow. He is a historian in his own right. And we have been running a series on my radio shows. And we have all been so blown away by the depth of the knowledge our brother Marmor has and that he's been bringing to us, that we call those Wednesday sessions now the Marmor University. Hey, brother Marmor, thank you for sharing my special day with me today. Please give us a few words.
Thank you, Sister Shanice. Greetings to all the African family, and firstly to the elders. Was hearing earlier, Brother Leader Mandaka and also Dr. Clyde Winters, we just spoke now. So we give respect to the elders who came before us, to our ancestors. And really, that's what history is about. And this is what it's all about today. And I want to say a special thank you, Sister Shanice. Like one of the person who spoke earlier, what their names are, but they were talking about the dedication that Sister Shanice has for our people. And you can see that love there because day and night she's working and she's dedicated to giving the history out there. I myself personally would just like to say something quickly about myself, but I'm originally from Cameroon in West Africa. So I came here when I was 10, 11 or so. My parents brought me here. So, but the thing is that unlike many Africans coming here, many of them who are already grown, they're like 30, 40, and many of them who are just youth themselves who got here. They lose their identity and they confuse as who they are. I've never been that. And one of the reasons I've never been there is because I remember growing up in Cameroon. I remember my history, my grandparents, etc. And secondly, as I was growing up, I saw that when I came here, when I left Cameroon, everyone was so happy and people were proud. At a young age, people were proud naturally. And they were so creative and they were full of energy. And then when I came here, I started seeing all this negativity about so-called Black people, and then the propaganda saying that Africans poor, this and that. But from a young age, I thought this doesn't fit with what I knew. So from a young age, I knew there was conspiracy. So I started reading books because I've always been inquisitive myself. Even when I was young, I used to go inside the forest and I used to look at the animal and plants and try to classify it and try and catch some birds. So I always had that in mind. But anyway, when I started reading the history, then I found that there was a conspiracy. Anyway, let me not go too far just yet. The key thing is I wanted to say, basically, I just wanted to do my introduction about myself. Then I want to go offline so that I can read something from my phone. Then it will give in context of what we're saying. And also then I want to come back on things and then sort of summarize the things and how it links in with what we're saying today. All right, so as I said, I've been involved with Pan-Africanism for a long time since a young age. But at the moment, the key thing that I've been involved with, obviously, is the Shanice show and the history, and then, but also Rapid Africa Plan. So many of you have already heard about that, but basically, Africa needs to industrialize. And just like China, they used to ride bicycles 30 years ago. If you take old pictures, you will see Beijing, the capital of China, and they were riding bicycle. So they need to industrialize so that they can become modern, not to lose their identity, just to make modern facilities with the science that they have today. So that's what Rapid Africa Plan is all about a short. We're also got another organization called Black African Beauty. So that's all about Black consciousness, not bleaching, African hair, basically Black consciousness, because many of our people are very wealthy today, they're moving forward, but inside their head, there's nothing. This is why they keep selling out and bleaching and all the rest like that. All right, so I want to go offline now just to read something from my phone, because really it would give a construction of what we're talking about today. I did have some things prepared, but I don't want to go too much into it because many of it has already been said. So I will come and summarize it because I think for me, I like to break things easy, in an easy way that the common person can understand. Because when you read too many people, because they're used to reading, they won't really understand too much. So I'm going to go offline. I'm going to turn my camera, but then I will read something.
I'll get gallery while you're offline.
Yeah, I will come back. I will come back and explain. All right. So I want to read just two quotations. For example, what we're talking about, Africans being the founders of world history for thousands and thousands of years. Yes. I'm going to just read something so that you have that understanding. Yes. Okay. So it's a book called Nile Valley Contribution to Civilization. Yes. And it's by Anthony Broder, a great historian from African American. Yes. But this really explains everything. If you really understood this, we won't even have time to even explain anything. In every country that one visits and where one is drawn into a conversation about Africa, the question is regularly asked by people who should know better. but what has Africa contributed to world progress? The critics of Africa forget that men of science today are, with few exceptions, satisfied that Africa was the birthplace of man himself, meaning humanity or people, original people. And for many hundreds of centuries thereafter, Africa was at the forefront of all world progress. So, three things really there that they're saying. Many people think that Black people, Africa, they are low people. Yes, as a church, the Black people have inferiority complex because they don't believe they achieve anything. So what he's saying is that, what question do people say? What has Africa contributed? So he answers the question defiantly to say that, first of all, civilization originated in Africa. And then, so basically, in simple language, is that without Africans, there will be no humans today. It's as simple as that. So whether you're talking about Chinese, all the other people around the world, without Africans, they will not be here. All right? So that kills everything. But secondly, if you still don't understand the power of that, then he says that for hundreds of thousands of years, in other words, it's not 100 years, it's not 200 years, it's not 300 years, yes, it's like 100,000 years, 200,000 years. Africans have been ruling all around the world. And not only that, though, they were at the forefront of all world progress. What he's saying is like, they're talking about mathematics, agriculture, which is like farming, animal husbandry, which is like growing, like looking after horses, cows, sheep, etc. Yes. And then the engineering needed to build architecture, like buildings, castles, obviously you know about the pyramids, etc. Yes. And then the third thing is why are we here? For example, why Sista Shanice done a history book? Why does history matter? Because many Black people are saying, we need to develop, we need to develop, we need to develop. Yeah. So why is history important? So I want to read again something. It's on page 15, and it's on Anthony Broder, Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization. Okay, I will read it again. Then I will explain what he's saying. As long as the world is dominated by white people, as long as those white scientists who now claim that there is no validity to the study of race continue to practice racism socially and academically, and most importantly, as long as Black race bears the universal badge of inferiority forced upon it by scientists who have distorted or suppressed Black history, we shall permanently focus on whatever and wherever the truth can be told until sincere men of science return to the Black race to its position of respect and reverence on earth. So I will explain that backwards. So the Black people, because they were original, all people, whether it was the Romans or the Greeks, or they only come lately. But in any case, when they came about to prominence, they said that the Ethiopians or the Kushites or whatever were the original people of civilization, and all civilization can be traced from them. So what's happened, what is saying is that has been distorted and it's been hidden, just as Sista Shanice is saying. And then, because as a result of the enslavement and colonization, African people have been written out of history, and all these things have been hidden. Yes? So even if there are books out there, but people don't know about them, because the dominant people who control the world are the whites, and the other people around the world who follow the whites. Yes? So that's what he's saying. So this is why we must focus on history, because if Sista Shanice didn't do this about the Black history, about the king and so on, many people will not be aware. Yes? Even though what we go about is, there's nothing really new about it. It's just been hidden. Yeah. So that's why history is important. One final quote that I will come before I come back to the screen is, there's a quote that is very powerful. So I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it for everybody. Okay. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And the quote is called Alvin Toffler. So he's actually a Caucasian or white person or Westerner, as you would like to call. So I will read it again so that I will explain it so it makes perfect sense. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, yes, unlearn, and relearn. So to learn means to learn something new. Unlearn means to be, basically, if you've been told lies, and someone tells you something new and you use science and you use evidence and use the common sense, and you see that you've been lied to, stop believing what you want to learn from the past. That means unlearn. And relearn, yeah? So some of the things are out there, but you never were aware of it. But now with new information, you can add them together to learn more. So in what they're saying is now, an illiterate just means someone who cannot read. So in this case, a literate person is someone who's clever, who was a learned, Yeah, this is what they're trying to imply. So in the past, for you to be literate, yes, it was considered for you to be able to read and write. Yeah. So what he's saying that a clever person of today is not a person who can just read and write. That's not what they're talking about. Because many Africans, they study to PhD level, but they know nothing about African history or anything. So what we're saying is that today, since you've been told lies, even if you think that you're clever, you're not really clever because you've been miseducated. Yeah. So come back and learn these new things that we're talking about and the book that Sista Shanice is talking about. So finally, before I go as well, just like I learned from Dr. Winters, it's a great pleasure for him to be in this platform. You know, Anthony Broder, Dr. Rashidi, you know, Anthony Drop. History and knowledge comes from a welcome source. People have spent their whole life learning. So you should just spend some time and read some books, then you will have the basics. So one books I want to recommend, 3 books basically. Ancient and Modern Britons, David McRitchie. Ancient and Modern Britons, David McRitchie. Please look up that book. You can buy it on Amazon. It will talk to you about all the people that in Britain and ancient history, etc. And then the second one is The Miseducation of the Negro. Yes, The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter Woodson. So basically that explains how the Black people have been brainwashed basically and whitewashed and told lies for them to feel inferiority complex. Yes, I will come back to that when I come back online. And then there's another book. There's 2 more books. When the World Was Black. Yes, the book is called When the World Was Black by Supreme Understanding. And another book he wrote, but under his real name, Dr. Sujan Kumar. As you can tell, Dr. Sujan Kumar. As you can tell, his name is actually from Bangladesh or South Asia, next to India. All of that was India. But he's a Black person from South Asia, India basically, but Bangladesh because it broke up. He wrote a book called Black People Invented Everything. So I will finish off now by coming then, and it's related to the case. So every invention you can think of, from for example, mobile phone. Yeah, mobile phone was invented by a Black person. Yes, I'm going to just read some of them. Yes, and I will come online to explain everything. Okay, so obviously you heard about the traffic lights. Yes, the guitar was invented by a Black person. Yes, ironing board was invented by a Black person. A lawnmower was invented by a Black person. The motor that became the foundation to make car engines and things like that was invented by a Black person. I can go on and on. So there's things to do with electronics, fridges, etc. But I will not go on and on. But I will come off online back again now, so I can sort of summarize my key.
So as you 30 seconds to summarize, please, Brother Marma, because of time. 30-second summary.
All right, so I'm back online now. So the key thing is this, yes? Africans were not only the first people in Africa, they were the first people in every continent and every country in the world, including Britain, Ireland, and all the rest. Also, the second part is this. This history is in many, many different books, but those books are hidden from you. So you must go out and buy the books. You must go out and do your research, but we're helping you with all the research. And second thing, the final thing then is all the inventions, basically every modern invention you can think of, whether to do with things to do with like biology and medical science and so on, they were invented by Black people. They've just been renamed or reworked on. So that's it. So you don't have to have inferiority complex going up and down. That's just brainwashing. You've been lied to. Yes. So have pride in yourself. You're the original people. Everyone else is like sort of mixed race, or they've been bleached out, basically. Okay. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're the original. So it's as simple as that. Why would other people will come after you? It makes no sense. Exactly. It makes no sense. This is just common sense.
Creators,
the product for you are
the masters who brought civilization, who invented everything. There was all the
the knowledge, the achievements of the past, we can achieve them today because we're the descendants of those people. Just like I saw your daughter talking, Sister Shanice. Your daughter has a fantastic smile, just like you. People can see the resemblance. It's the same thing. That came before us, and we are the descendants of them. Everything can be created. What we need is unity. And finally, football. If you look at the World Cup now, African players are winning titles for France, for all the European teams, for American and all the rest. Okay?
Yeah.
So the reason they're doing that is because they've been controlled by Westerners and all the rest. So just like they can do it for them, if we come together, we can do it. We don't have to do things because a white man has told us or Chinese man has told us. It makes no sense. Just come together and do things yourself. It's as simple as that. All right, thank you.
Oh, you know, exactly. That's what we need. Brother Marmar, thank you so much. I know you could have lectured for another 2 hours. You can join myself and Brother Marmar on a Wednesday on the Big G Galaxy Afiwi.net. I am a presenter on that wonderful radio station, and Brother Marmar has been joining me there for quite a few months now. It started off as 1 or 2 shows, but it's just gone on for months, and we've covered Africans in Asia, Africans in America, Africans in Britain. Yeah, we go deep. We bring all the sources, we bring the documentation. It's phenomenal. To everyone in the chat, I've been looking at some of your comments as well. Thank you so much. Sondai says that I'll be purchasing several copies for my Black members group of Unison in Enfield for our library, and raffle a few of these at our annual event. Thank you so much for people who are thinking like that. Yeah, a great way to you know, share the information. And we've even got someone from Addis Ababa who said as well that they would really appreciate love a book in Addis Ababa, and so that's great. Family, time is slipping by so quickly. Look, we are 2.5 hours into the event already. But without further ado, let me find our Sister Baguette. Let me just go to the gallery view. And then after Sister Baguette, we'll bring on Sister Werner. And I want to just say, give big up to Sister Almin. I know she doesn't want to talk, but maybe just say hi to everybody, tell us their review, you know, we'll see. Right. Sister Baguette, I'm going to bring you on. Yeah, bring you on here.
I'm here, Grand Rising.
Got you.
Grand Rising family.
Oh, thank you so much, Sister Baguette. Oh, wow, a sister, and she's very much like a sister to me. And she's my copywriter. She knew I was writing the book because we were on the same course together. And she's like, yeah, I will copyright. I will, you know. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, you make sure it's APR standard, and you know, make sure the sources are quoted in the correct way. And you know, I'll go through and all that. I'm like, wow, Sister Baguette. You have been an absolute, you know, when you set out to do something, this is an example of how the ancestors just puts people in your path, you know, who will help you to get to where you're intended to go. So sometimes we can like maybe block our own progress by not taking that first step because we can't see the help down the road. If I'd have known at the beginning that you were going to be there down the road, I'd be like, well, I would have been running maybe from time. But forget. Thank you. Please share a few words with the family.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for being in such amazing company. Grand Rising to the family and amazing people on here. It was a gift and a blessing to participate in this book. I am so grateful that you allowed me the opportunity to edit with you on this work. It's an amazing book, and everyone's spoken from different perspectives. My perspective when I first encountered the book was a little bit different from a linguistic background. I was taken aback by your writing style. The way that you engaged the reader and how interactive it was is inspired. It's not an easy thing to do, to be able to create sort of a shared dialogue and have the reader participate. And this is something that a couple of people touched on in terms of how we bring this information to the future generations and how we, I believe Dr. Charles calls it a psychohistory. How we move them away from the Western pedagogy and the concepts of how we learn and how we teach history and how we teach information to something that's much more engaging and self-regulating, so that it actually inspires the reader to go out and do more, actually lets them engage with the information. And the reason I really loved it was because I thought This is an amazing book for parents and children. You know, coming from the United States, being an American, I have to admit, and I'm embarrassed to say it, but I swear the lack of education around our foundational Black British brothers and sisters in the US is mind-boggling. I was in my 30s before I even knew that there were Black people in the UK. And forgive me, it's the most ridiculous thing in the world, but that's just how lacking the information and the worldview is presented to the diaspora. So the idea that there were, you know, royalty, Black royalty in Europe, of all places, that blew my mind. And I did college, university, all the rest of it. And even with institutionalized studies around Black studies, and this was never mentioned. It wasn't even conceived of. So one of the things that I love about the book is that, especially in America, in my own experience, I know parents sit down and have the conversation with their children about Blackness, and it's framed in that narrative of survivalism. You know, you sit down and you have the conversation about how to deal with slave patrols and police. We tell our children about that. We tell them, we don't tell them about their origin. We don't sit down and have a conversation with our children about their divine origin, about their true history, about their true aligning with their true purpose and their true mission in this life. That's not something that happened for me. And all praise to the parents that actually do this, but it's not something that I'm familiar with. And the reason I loved the book, because I thought, this is how it will happen. This book is the conversation between the mother and the child that says, what do you think about that? Is that something that you've ever heard? You know, and this was the voice, the writing voice that you brought to the content that just inspired me. The thought that I could visualize the Black mother and the Black child saying, hey, you know, wow, what do you think about that? Maybe we should find out some more about that. Can you imagine that? Having that conversation at a really young age, when they're still developing, starts to plant the seeds for what Dr. Charles calls the psychohistory. And so many people have alluded to it here, the idea that we see ourselves, we identify with the history, the true history. We see representation of ourselves in that history. This has a psychological impact that shows up in our lives, shows up in our families, shows up in how we relate to one another. The violence that another brother was speaking about, the psychohistory is what's missing. And this is the seed of that conversation, that shared dialogue that can you know, move us into and transform us into a new place. So I love the book, and I was inspired on so many levels. This is brand new information for an American, a foundational Black American. And I'm specifically interested in women's studies and the perception of Black women throughout the patriarchy, and how our story has been written and communicated. And I adored the
I think my internet is frozen, but hopefully you're still hearing Baguette.
No, I think Baguette's internet's frozen. We can hear you.
Oh, Baguette has frozen.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry for that, family. Hopefully she'll be back with us in a moment or two. She was just going to just share some more insights. Okay, Vanna, do you want to just quickly jump in here and tell us, share with us some of the comments from in the chat?
Yeah, why not? But firstly, I just want to say about the book, you know, go have a look through the contents of the book and what it actually covers. It covers such a wealth of information. You know, it talks about the Black King Offa, his wife, his children, the royal lineage. You know, there's even a coin. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but, you know, there was even a coin with a picture of him on it, you know, and it tells you all about that in the book. And it's full of so much information about King Offa, his whole life and his family and so forth. And it is brand new information for me, totally new and I'm sure it is the same for a lot of people. There's also references in the bibliography where you can, if you want to go and read more and do your own research and find out some more information about our history, it's there. All the resources, the information, the you know, where Shanice got all her insights from, it's there for everybody to just do your own research. Let's uncover our history. Let's bring them to life, just like in that cartoon, that awesome cartoon where King Offa actually stood up and, you know, came to life. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, let's continue to do that. So in the chat, we've still got people just, you know, very in awe of this all and feeling inspired. People are buying the book, which is absolutely awesome, because that's what we want. We want the word to get out as far and wide as possible, and it's happening. So yeah, it's all looking really good. So I will now let Almin speak. Sister Almin, speak.
Let's unmute myself. Thank you so much, Sister V. Thanks to everyone in the chat as well. Leonidas is saying if I could make the recording accessible to attendees after the presentation, just to let you know that, yeah, it's been streamed live on YouTube, so it will automatically be recorded there as well. So if you go to my YouTube channel, the Sista Shanice Show, you will be able to get it there. I'll try and put the link in the chat, or if someone could get the link for my channel and put it in the chat, please, that would be absolutely awesome. And just to say, if you are not a subscriber on the Sista Shanice Show channel, please do subscribe. It would be absolutely awesome to have you as a subscriber as well. So I'm just going to, I know my sister, I'm just going to introduce my older sister to you, because you know, she's just been an absolute gem in my life, and there's no way that I could have this event without, you know, giving her the credit where and so much credit is due to her encouragement, her inspiration. She was my editor on the book as well, and wow, it's just been awesome being able to have my sister join me on this journey. Even though she's all the way abroad, you know, we can still connect. Sister Almin.
Oh, Shanice, thank you so much. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, wherever you are in the world. You know, Shanice, when you first told me about the book you wanted to write, and I said, wow, this is such a major task. It's good. But you know what, sweetheart, I'm so glad you invited me to be part of this journey, because I've learned so much. I so much appreciate all the work you've done. I think you're a phenomenal woman. We've used that word a lot, but really, you are phenomenal. And thank you for inviting me along on the journey. Today's your day. And I just know that this book is going to be such a success. We've put a lot into it, I know, from day one, and it's just been incredible. And I thank you so much. You know, I think of you as the word trailblazer. I apply to you and what you're doing today. You've heard all the comments from everyone. This show has been amazing. I'd said to you initially when we talked about the content of this launch, and you said it was 3 hours long. You remember my initial response was 3 hours, it's going to be too long, you're going to lose people. But guess what? I've been sitting here for 3 hours and I just can't move. I haven't even made breakfast yet. So you know, the whole time, because I've learned so much. I'm so impressed with everyone that's been on the show. I'm so impressed with everything that you said. You're really a talker, and I so admire that. But you say so much that's so inspirational to me and to everyone else that's listening. So my sister, I raise my hat to you, and I say congratulations. Thank you for this. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this experience. It's been just amazing. And I wish you all the luck and love to you all. Okay.
Oh, thank you. so much. I mean, oh, you've been at the heart of it all. Just knowing that you've been there as part of the journey and that you've got my back on all of this as well. You have been absolutely phenomenal as well. Thank you so much, big sis. Thank you. Let's quickly, the time's whizzing by now, isn't it? So I'm going to say, let's go straight to the big ups. Okay, we've got the competition. Let me just bring back on Sasha. Because if you remember, Sasha spoke earlier and she was telling you that those who did the research, those who responded, all the respondents were putting that submitted, I'm just finding Sasha, those who submitted the survey, there you are, those who submitted the survey all get the chance of winning a book. And I've got the list of names of everyone that submitted the survey. It was 100 people who responded, but the first one has got name, so we'll exclude that one. So from 2 down to 101. Okay, Sasha, how are you going to do this?
Okay, so the plan is I'm going to select a name. I'm going to pick on someone to unmute themselves. And when you unmute yourself, I want you to just pick a number. So this hasn't been discussed. We haven't discussed anything or chosen a number as yet. We're going to choose a number live. So I'm going to pick on my Auntie Carmen, because I can see my auntie here. And I haven't heard her voice in a long time, so I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone. So Auntie Carmen, if you can unmute yourself.
Hi, Sasha. Hi.
Hello.
And Shanice, just before I go on, just to say, I'm so proud of you. Yeah, you've gone on a long journey in terms of the Black history and teaching everyone through your radio, as well as the book, which the book is the icing on the cake. It's it's going to go so far, and it's going to go into the schools as well. So lots of people is going to benefit from it, and I'd just like to say congratulations, well done. Okay. All right.
Thank you, sis.
Yeah, I'm not a talker, so I tend to observe more than speak. But anyway, Sasha, nice to see you. It's been here a long time. Okay,
Nice
number 77 is the number I'm going to choose.
Oh, yeah, number 77. Let's see who number 77 is. 77 is Edwin Hector. Do we have Edwin Hector in the house? Edwin Hector, I've got your email address, so I will be getting in touch with Edwin Hector, and I will be asking you in the email to send me a delivery address. And you and a book will be on its way to you. Sasha, can you see anyone responding to that name in the chat?
No, I can't see anyone responding in the chat, but also I know that there's an overspill on YouTube. So what we'll have to do is keep an eye out, but we do have the email. So I guess we can all, even though we're not all unmuted, we can all just give a clap. Someone has filled out the survey, has supported my mum with the information and the statistics, and so because of it they have been blessed with a book, number 77.
Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Carmen. Sasha, I think at this point we're just going to go and open up the lines. If anyone wants to say a few words, maybe someone who has bought the book, read it, or is going to buy the book and read it, you might want to say a few words. Just put up your hand. Sasha, let me know who you see, and I will put them on spotlight.
Okay, perfect. So what we'll do is if you just give me a wave that you want to speak, I can see everyone. And then what I'll do, I'll call out your name and we'll get you unmuted. So you'll have to put your face on so that I can see you.
Berna wants to say something, so let me quickly bring Berna on. Let's hear from Berna. Yeah, go ahead, Berna.
I'm just looking on your live stream on YouTube. A couple of people are wanting to know, when is it going to be available in paperback?
Oh, it is available in paperback. It's available in Kindle format and paperback format. Someone asked me also, what was the cost to self-publish.
Yes.
It's free to self-publish. You know, all you buy is your ISBN numbers, and I already had some before because I'd written a book previously. But yeah, it's actually free. What you do is you put in a huge amount of your own time. If you want illustrations and you need to pay an illustrator to do the illustrations, obviously there's a cost there. You know, if you have to pay for the services of an editor or copywriter because, you know, you don't have people around you with those skills, then maybe there's a cost there, you know. So, but otherwise, you know, it's free to self-publish.
What we can do is send the link in YouTube so that people can buy the book and know that it's paperback, because this is what we are buying at the moment. I said that you shouldn't just buy one, try and buy a few. I bought 5, so I'm gonna be spreading it to people who have never heard of it. I've got my goddaughter and my other people who I want to love and share that with. So share it with people. I'm in a different country. I'm going to send it to someone else in a different country. When you're visiting, when you put that book in your suitcase and you travel to Jamaica or another country where they might not have Amazon as easy and as freely as we do, you're sending history to another part of the world who then can spread the word, because you might send it to someone who gives it to a teacher who then teaches 20 children in a school that there was a Black king. A lot of people think that Meghan, who just married the prince, is the first Black anything that has ever hit the kingdom, but that isn't true, and that's what we're trying to dispel. So yeah, if we can put the link in the YouTube, and also buy more than one. Ivana?
Yes, that's been done. I've put the link in on YouTube.
Thank you, V.
Was there other people on YouTube? I think I cut you.
Somebody wanted to know if the book is on Audible.
Audible, not yet, but that's something I'll definitely look into.
Okay. Go ahead, Sasha. I'm just flicking through the messages.
So if no one wants, not everyone is confident with speaking. So if you don't want to say anything verbally, but you want to write in the chat, now is your time to write in the chat, the meeting chat. So if you click everyone and send the message, or you can send it privately to me or my auntie Verna, you can send the message and then we will read it out loud. And any message that you can just say, I've bought the book. You can just say that, Sista Shanice, you're incredible. You can just say, Sista Shanice, you're inspiration. You can just say, I've read the first chapter and I can't let the book down. You can just say, I'm about to buy a book. You can just say, Sista Shanice, keep going, don't stop. One book is that you've done on this king is only the start of maybe many other kings and queens that you need to write about. You can say as much as you can. I'm using this moment to just say what I want to say, but you can say what you want. But any word of encouragement is a support, is needed. A lot of the times what we do is when people pass or when people are no longer with us, we say these words, but this is definitely not what we want to do. We want to show love, spread love, and just let my mum know that she is incredible and she is doing incredible work. So if you can write in the chat, and then we will say what you've written. And also if you're on YouTube, you can write a comment in YouTube and someone will write, someone will read that. And also, if you have bought the book, this is what's most important. If you have bought the book, you need to write a review, because there will be a lot of people who probably will write negative reviews just so someone else won't read the book. And so we need to counteract that with what we know to be true, that the book is incredible. Clyde said that the book is incredible, that it's an inspiration. So write that comment as a review. If you've got a book and you're waving that book in your hand and you've received it, that means you are one to write a review. There was over 150 there was over 150 people on YouTube. There's about 80 people in here. And if we all buy a book, that is over 200 people. We can almost get to 200 reviews that we can do. I'm seeing a comment here. Someone has just bought the book. Someone has written, truth unlearn to relearn, give thanks. I think that was Beverly.
Thank you, Beverly.
I'll be ordering and sharing. So proud and feel honored to be a part of this event. That was Angelique.
Thank you, Angelique. Privileged to have you here. Sash, I think we've got a hand. Sister Angie. Let's unmute. Sister Angie, are you able to?
Hey, greetings, sis.
Let me spotlight you.
I'm going to put my face on because I'm at home doing some work.
Oh, okay, no, that's okay. Carry on. We won't spotlight you.
Accept my voice. Give thanks, everybody on the platform. Sister Shanice, I'm going to read the message I put in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Rise up yourself, sister.
Oh.
Rise up yourself. Wear your crown proudly. You've worked very, very hard thus far. And you are doing us a great, great, great gratitude, sis, because you are representing us. My message is a bit edited because I've lost it, but I'm speaking from my heart. Yeah. I've known you for a little while and I've seen your journey. Yeah, be proud of yourself. Celebrate yourself, sister. Yeah, fix your crown. Hold your head up high because you are a torch bearer. You are trailblazer blazer for us as a community and our future generations. Rise up yourself, Black Power, sister.
Wow. Oh, thank you so much, Sister Angie, beautiful sister in our community who's doing phenomenal works in the Gambia, has been for a long time, does trips to the Gambia, has medical days in the Gambia, sends over, she's phenomenal. So to have that coming from you, my sis, it's an honor. Thank you so much.
We have one more.
See?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, let me add you to the spotlight, Brother Nursi. Good to see your face. First time seeing you, but we hear your voice quite often on my shows. Brother Nursi, how you doing?
Yes, greetings. Yenge lumbu kiambote, Sister Shanice.
Yenge lumbu kiambote, my brother.
This means I'm coming to you in a peaceful manner in order to build today. So let me say thank you to a great sister. I've been intervening in her show since the beginning of this year on Galaxy Radio. And I am, of course, from a difficult country, born in Congo, where nothing works except death. So I've been privileged to intervene whenever I can, whenever work allows, to a very inspirational sister who's able to broaden her mind and incorporate many different members of the community, including myself here from the DR Congo. So I have the book. I will definitely write a review in my very best English. So all the best, my sister. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brother Nursi. Thank you. I think
lovely.
Braithwaite's ordered the book, as she said.
Yeah, so we've got, go on.
Go ahead.
We've got Beverly who just said, I have ordered your book. As soon as I read it, I will put a review. As I read the negative reviews and knew it was low vibration, ignore and ordered. Keep rising, sis. Someone else wrote, well done, Sister Shanice, always inspiring and taking on the challenge. From Zimbabwe 2018 family.
Hey, rise up, Sister V. Yeah, I took a group to Zimbabwe 2 years running, absolutely phenomenal trips. And, you know, since then, all of the participants have still remained as one big family, and it's beautiful. Rise up, Sister V. Good to have you in the house.
So we have Sister Shanice, well done. educating us all, both young and old. That was just, it says iPhone, so I'm not sure who that is. And then we've got congrats, Sister Shanice. It's not easy writing a book whilst also dealing with life. Did you come across or reference the Black Celts by the A-list? Is the book available in traditional shops like New Beacon? No, not as yet. It's just on Amazon. But the more you order, then the more it can get circulated, and then the more options, I guess, that it could be in. And then we have, do you want to answer that question?
No, you've answered it, Sam.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the question was, it's not easy writing a book whilst also, the question was, did you come across the Black Celts?
Oh, right. Yes, the Celts, as we know, they were Africans as well. Basically, you know, we're just known by many different names. And the Celts is one of the names that we were known by. The entire history of the Africans, the Celtish Africans, mainly of Ireland, it was our history. And there was a famous quote that I saw somewhere, and basically this person had studied the Celts, and they said that the history of the fairer pale-skinned people, was actually the history of the Celts. So it showed that they had basically superimposed themselves into our history. And not only have they done that where the Celts is concerned, but they've done that, you know, across our entire history and across the globe. And it's almost as though our ancestors knew that a day would come when they would have to speak to us, you know, and that they needed to leave evidence of their existence in something that, you know, couldn't be burnt, couldn't be, you know, torn up or destroyed or vandalized. And so our ancestors took to writing in stone. And there's so much evidence, megalithic evidence, and they knew that the stones that they erect with the messages on it for us would have to weigh tons, because otherwise these people would move them and destroy them. And so they've left the stone circles everywhere, which was basically our ancient calendars. So sophisticated was their knowledge of the astronomy and cosmology, that the stone circles were in an alignment with the stars. You know, some of the tombs, their tombs, the tombs of our ancients that these people have found. There's a tomb in Ireland. Every time there's an equinox, the tomb lights up. How does that happen? Because they directly aligned, they did the mathematical calculation when the future eclipses and equinoxes were going to be, so that every time it happened, it lit up the tomb. I mean, what level of mathematical calculations and knowledge would you have to have, and knowledge of the universe and the stars and the cosmology would you need to have to be able to make those sorts of calculations? And our ancestors were doing it. It's just, it blows your mind away when you do the history and you do the reading of the knowledge that our people had. And Brother Paul Abina said that, you know, in order for them to get that knowledge, which comes after almost a 26,000 year cycle. So it takes 26,000 years for that cycle to happen. And for them to be able to master that knowledge, they would have to have had knowledge and documented that cycle several times over. And it's all there. Phenomenal. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent.
You can tell you're very passionate about your Black history, and it's so phenomenal. We have 2 hands up. We've got I am, if you can see the hand.
Greetings, Sister Shanice. How you doing, sis? Can you hear me loud and clear? I'm actually in the bath, so...
Don't turn the camera on, whatever
yeah,
you
don't leave the camera.
No, nobody see me in the bath. So anyway...
rise up, I am.
Yeah, you know, I just want to give you so much strength, my sister, for the work, the compassion, the emotion, the focus, the discipline, and the tenacity that you're putting into everything you're doing every week on Galaxy Radio. and beyond Galaxy Radio, also what you're doing in the Gambia and anywhere else on the globe that you're doing it. And I want to salute you, Rastafari, love your eye to the max. And just may I yield up my brethren Quacko from the BBMC. My brother, good to see you on the platform too, supporting our sister. You know this, brethren, Sister Shanice, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, good. Okay, yeah, it's a good one. Give thanks, keep rising. Family, I'm saluting all of the matriarchs. We love you, sisters. Without you, we are nothing. And yet, my brethren, Dr. Clyde Winters, I'm listening to you too, my brother. I love your passion, Noisi, and Mama and the whole of them. Keep strengthening and iron sharpen iron. Love, guidance, and protection. Wadada.
Wadada. Ashe.
Lovely. I can see everyone clapping and everyone doing the celebration. So I can see that everyone is in agreement with I am. We thank God he left the cameras off. We didn't want it to go left this moment. And then I just want to read now. Win wrote, "Greetings, Sister Shanice. Happy to see that which was revealed has come to pass. Pathway maker, oneness." And that was written by Win. And there is so many comments. I wonder if there's a way that you could just save all of these beautiful comments that have been written. But yes, if you can, someone's unmuted. I don't know who it is, but
maybe they want to speak.
That was me. I think Angie wants to say something.
Who, sorry?
Angie.
Angie, okay. Let's is it a different Angie or the same Angie we heard from?
She's got her hand up.
Okay, I'm just going to gallery so that I can.
Greetings, darling. Many people call me Angie from the name which was given to me, and I'm also known as Amra. So thank you for spotting me going crazy at the back here. I would just like to say on behalf of the Dirty Dozen, now the Dirty Dozen is the graduates of Dr. Winter's Afrocentric research course. It's coming back in January 2023. And as much as I knew about Sister Shanice before then, we have now become sisters as family through that course. The love I have for you, Sister Shanice, and that you've delivered out of the Dirty Dozen. The Dirty Dozen has been foundational Black British graduates of Dr. Clyde Winter's research program. Yes. So I'm telling anybody and everybody, if you want to know more about yourself, go and visit and be a part of Dr. Clyde Winter's course, because it allows you to have such a generic knowledge of yourself, but also you're able to challenge the white so-called dominance within this system. So I would tell anybody, become a researcher. But Sister Shanice, you did it, girl.
And congratulations to you as well, Sister Amra. Sister Amra has had a paper published in academia. So her research paper has been published.
That was through working with Dr. Clyde Winters. And I'm sure there is a book coming very soon, all based on the African drum and how it's so important within us. But for you, it's your day, sis. I want you to big up yourself, know that you are loved, know that you are, look, I've been here and I've never heard anything like this about our history. Yes, we know, but this is now in print. I'm buying one for my godson and anybody in my family. This is on their Kwanzaa, not Christmas, Kwanzaa list. Okay, so this will be in their stocking, and I'm an associate lecturer at a university, and I bought this in, and I said, look, I don't care what age group, but this should be on your shelf in your library. So I'll be attaching it to as many libraries as I see. Well done, I love you, and that's it. Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
We've got Brother Kwaku hand up. Let me just check. Brother Kwaku, would you like to Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Congratulations. I first want to say that
Thank you.
because many people are congratulating you, but I don't think if you've never written a book, you don't know how difficult it is. And also want to know how busy you are. So you writing a book and also living life, doing your show and blah, blah. I'm saying that because I'm in the midst of writing a book and I'm distracted. So for you to conclude it and it looks good, congratulations.
Thank you.
Secondly, excuse me if I missed it, but did you reference the Celts, the Black Celts?
Okay. They are mentioned in there as being short-statured Africans, and there is a source in there that talks about them as such, and I think I've also referenced them with regards to some quotes about their history being basically plagiarized. I think that, but it's not specifically about them. But I have done a separate research paper on Ireland, and I'm sure that one will be coming soon with the help and support of the great ones that I've got around me. There is a history and a half family in Ireland. We have a history and a half in Scotland, a history and a half in Wales, a history and a half in England. You know, there's so many books that we all need to be writing, family. You know, every single one of these kings, queens, the communities, their lifestyle, the anthropological evidence that they have about their culture, their artifacts. You know, you can write a book even about that one board game that I showed you earlier. The number of board games that have been made as a spin-off of that. Our history is phenomenal. But I will be getting around to the Celts in more detail.
Right, actually, what I was asking is that there was an actual book called The Black Celts, an ancient African civilization in Ireland and Britain. Yes. And it was written by Ahmed Ali, and I presume his brother, Ibrahim Ali. It was published around 1992, so it's out of print, very hard to get, but it is a useful document. So that's something probably going forward you may want to touch on. Yes. And lastly, I'm just going to ask, is this book going to be available in traditional bookshops like New Beacon Books?
Hopefully. I mean, at the moment, you know, it's just gone live on Amazon. So hopefully in time, you know, those bookshops will be seeking out to get copies on their bookshelf as well.
Okay. Once again, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Right. We have another hand up. Mayu. Rap.
Brother Mama.
Mama. Okay. You're muted. Okay, perfect. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, I spoke earlier, but I just wanted to add one final thing. So obviously, it's wonderful what Sister Shanice has done, but she's one of many different people who have books out there. So I just want to send a special message to young people, yes? When you're a young person, you're naturally very curious, yes? It's as you grow up older and older, then you meet people, they put you down, or you see things in the environment around you and you become discouraged, but you're naturally very curious. So what I want to encourage young people is to read. I'm an educator too. I worked in schools for the last 10 years since I left university. But my message is really simple. To everyone in general, but young people especially, read. It doesn't matter what you read. Just pick up a book, or now people got phones and you can access the internet. For example, if you just type on the internet, Black history, Black history of ancient Britain, Black history of ancient China, Black history of ancient Asia, Black history of America. Even just go on Amazon and then just type Black history books or ancient Black history Britain, anything. My point is saying is that once you start reading, you will learn to have critical thinking. Unfortunately, most of our people today, it doesn't matter what level you meet them at. I mean, I work in school, I've been at university, I've been know people who are professors, they lack critical thinking because they don't read. They don't read properly. Basically, what they go to do, even when they go to university or whatever, they give them a course study, and then they tell them, they memorize, and they come and repeat, and they pass. So they're not able to analyze these things. So my point trying to say that if you just start reading, obviously we're giving you some books to start off with, yes? But if you just start reading in general, you will come across many different things. Like, for example, the pyramids. You will see that there are pyramids all over the world. You will start asking questions. Then if you come across like the mosque or people in ancient India or whatever, you will start thinking. But my point is that if someone tells you something, it's secondary. Once you start to learn something yourself, you know the knowledge. I can speak like this today because I'm not making stuff up. It's not someone told me. I know because I've looked at it on many different things on the internet, on the BBC, on the Al Jazeera, all the things, even the people who have met, it confirms everything. You understand what I'm trying to say? So read,
okay, well, I'm hearing that.
read.
What we need to do is read. And that's one. If you have any books, if you have any books that you want to suggest, you can put it in the group as well. So just in where it says chat, if you write some books down, that would be brilliant. But is there anyone else who wants to celebrate?
I saw some earlier, but I will write.
Yeah, can I bring back Sister Baguette because she got cut off, didn't she?
Thank you.
Okay, I'll pass it on.
I apologize to the family.
Thank you, Brother Mama. Thank you.
Apologies to the family. I had a brief little power outage in Central America here. So, but I'm back. But where I left off was I wanted to say that I was inspired through the story of Chenoweth and how she was described. And in the moment when I read it, I went to Google and started Googling her name and like, what is her story? How did she end up in the
Tell them who she is. Tell them who she is.
Oh, okay. Well, she apparently, she is being accused, allegedly. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, so this is the Queen. This is King Offa's wife. We're
King
talking
Offa's
about
wife,
it.
the Queen of Mercia, allegedly attempted to poison an opponent of the king, and somehow this went wrong, and he ended up drinking along with the person she had intended to poison, and they both passed. And her story after that is really interesting. She ends up becoming an abbess at a monastery and spends the rest of her days in monastic life.
So this is the daughter. This is Edra.
Oh,
Edra's story.
Apologies.
All right, that's okay. There's so many interesting threads, more stories and in stories.
Yes, it reads like a novella, and that's what interested me. It was so engaging that there were these stories in there. So forgive me, Edra, the daughter, but she ends up in monastic life, and it talks about how she was judged and perceived to be manipulative and deceptive, and this evil figure in the royal court and all this stuff. And I thought, wait a minute. This is really familiar. I've heard this before when we're talking about Black feet, the divine Black feminine. I have suspicions that this may not be the whole story. And it inspired me to go to Google and think, okay, this is my next research project. I want to tell her story in the frame of the divine Black cosmic feminine in the way that it probably should be told outside of white settler patriarchy, because that's the only information that we have about her. And I believe it must be much, much deeper than that. But the characters in the story, in the King Offa book, are so developed, and there's so much engagement around speculating about who these people were and what they believed and what they did and what their motivation was, that it grabbed me. And I thought, oh yeah, I want to know more about this. But I absolutely, congratulations to you, Sister Shanice. I'm so proud to have been a part of this and so honored to be a part of this. And more than anything, I'm just excited about the seed that it plants. The book actually, it lends itself to a lesson plan. If you are someone who has a child or someone who is in a teaching capacity, the book is one step away from a lesson plan. You could easily develop a formal lesson plan from this. The way that the content is presented and just the writing voice, it's a beautiful piece of work, and I'm just grateful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Baguette. It was an honor having you part of it. I mean, look at the time, Sasha. We're going to have to wrap up, and in wrapping up, I just want to bring two people to the front. I want to bring back Dr. Clyde Winters to the front, and I just want to have my sister here, Sister Almin, in the spotlight as well. Two formidable forces that have been of such support to me in this journey. And I just want to share the love, you know, that the audience has been giving me. I want to share that love with you all as well, because you're all so special. And if I can add Brother Kieran as well to the spotlight. He was one of the Dotty Does. We were called the Dotty Does because there was 12 of us doing the course. So Brother Kieran, is it okay for me to bring you front of house? Where's Brother Kieran? Yeah, okay, awesome. Just gonna bring you front of house as well. He's done a review of the book as well and was just encouraging me along the way. And, you know, if I could see young Corey as well, I've got a grandnephew named Corey, and he was so thrilled to get a copy of the book. He's like, I want to bring it to school, he said, you know, I want to bring it to school. So Corey, enough love to you if you're listening as well, and to the entire family. So we are closing now, family. If I can just ask Sister Almin to say a few closing words, and then Brother Dr. Winters to say a few closing words. Sister Almin.
Shanice, I just want to say, we did it. You did it.
Yeah, we did.
Just to hear the comments, because it shows you that the book has achieved what you set out to. And that's just wonderful. So congratulations, sister. And hey, we look forward to the next one, right? It was good one, and I've just learned so much. I fell in love with certain characters like the Cheddar Man because I didn't know about them. So congratulations, and you've just done a wonderful job. I've heard the words inspirational, I've heard the words enlightening, and it's all due to you. So thank you as well, and congratulations on your journey, because I know it's going to be a long one going forward, and I'm thankful that I was part of this journey with you. Thank you, sister.
Thank you so much, Sister Almin. Thank you. Dr. Winters.
Well, you know, I really don't want to take any time away from anybody else, but I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And you see what I told you? You're the oracle. You wrote this one book, and look at all these other fantastic books that are about to be written. Yeah. Again, Shanice, you are the epitome. As I told you, you're the oracle, you're the woman, and you're that best example of, in a sense, that Black femininity that we all need and that we all love. And thank you so much for taking the time to make this book for the children. And I'm telling you, you don't have to worry. They're going to remember you, and you're going to be held in high esteem, because you're going to, in a sense, make so many young people, so many children, so many foundational Black British people believe in themselves, and the future looks great to me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clyde. It's all because of you as well. You know, you could easily have put your foot up and enjoyed your retirement years, but you are still going at 100 miles an hour and just pouring, you know, your knowledge and your wisdom and your enthusiasm into us. And we thank you so much. We love you. We love you. Just a couple of words from you, Brother Kira.
Yes, let me.
No, you've just muted yourself. We were hearing you before.
Yes, just to say, I've been very impressed to have witnessed your journey in silence on your weekly show. Shy to actually speak to you in that sense, coming in as a disguise, but now I'm fortunate to be able to work with you closely on this journey, and, you know, build up my confidence to be in the front line as you have been bravely been doing VOS so far. So I'm very impressed, and I'm humbled to be associated with this journey with you. And again, congratulations. And yeah, I'm looking forward to replicate what you're doing.
Excellent.
For the inspiration.
Great. I've inspired one person, so it's all been worthwhile. Thank you so much, Brother Kieran. To all the speakers, all the guests, I thank you all so much. And my final words would be, if I can do it, you can do it, family. If I can do it, you can do it. More time you see me push up my face. I know bossy, you know, I just feel there's a message that needs to be communicated to our people, and nobody maybe was saying at the time what I felt needed to be said. So me have to talk it, you know, me have to talk it, and in order to talk it, me have to do the research, me have to look in at it, me have to make my notes, and me have to come cross correct, you know it go. And so over time, I've just developed, you know, these skills, and then I've met great ones along the way, as you're looking at on the screen now, and others who have helped me on that journey. And I thank you all so much for being part of my journey. To all the Galaxy family as well, who may be watching via YouTube, I thank you so much as well. You've all been a part of my journey as well. And so I'm going to close out with King Offa saying a few words, if that's okay. All right, so I'm just going to go over to screen share. Oh, did I exit it? Oh, my apologies. I seem to have exited it. So let me just have Sasha say a few words in closing while I find King Offa again. Sasha, can you?
Yes, I can read some of the other comments that have been written. Let me see. Someone has just wrote, beautiful, good evening, and thank you. Someone is just thanking you for this evening. I think what's so beautiful about this evening is, yes, we are celebrating the book. Yes, we are buying the book. Someone's unmuted. If you could all mute. But we're also learning, because the one thing about you, Mum, is that even no matter if someone says anything concerning a character or Black history or anything, you instantly are able to teach, because you are constantly studying. And that's the thing about you. You don't just know or regurgitate something that you've heard from someone else. No, you go to the source. You go. I remember one time you were saying you was traveling somewhere, a museum, just to see for yourself certain things. And that's what's so, I guess, inspiring and admirable of you, is that you go the extra mile. And so, I mean, there has been overall probably about 300 people. I haven't seen the YouTube number, but constantly people have been in and out, and the numbers have grown. And I've seen so many people come in, and that's because they believe in you. They know that you, when you say something, that it's factual and that you dig deep. You're a researcher, you're a studier, but the most important thing is you're a lover of Black. And that's why when you write and when you speak, it's just inspiring. That's why a lot of the words are trailblazer, inspirational, is because you literally are trailblazing.
Okay, I hate to interrupt. This is what we want to make. We want to make Shanice, you know, known around. I want everybody that hears my voice, I want you to go to every search engine, Google, Duck, whatever that thing is, Yahoo. And I want you to put in there, Shanice Lindsay, and put in there the name of the book. We're going to make this book the top book on the internet today. So go to every search engine and do this. Put in her name, put in the book, and we're going to get it started.
Oh, thank you so much.
You heard our elder. There is something that a lot of people do not know, and that is within the search engine. When a lot of people start searching things, it rises it to the top. And so he's been very strategic with that. That if we all just, when we log off, if we all just write, as he said, the name, you can do it now on your phone. I think someone's waving their phone to say you can do it now. Yeah, you can literally just put in the name, the title of the book, A Black King of Anglo-Saxon England. Type that in and just press search. And then as soon as you press search, the computer is thinking, oh, this is interesting. A lot of people are typing this in, and it brings it to the top. So yes, let's do what Clyde has said. have I spoken enough, Mum? Are you ready?
Yeah, I know. We said 3 hours. It's actually been 3.5 hours. I want to thank everybody again that has stayed with us throughout the day. Those of you who joined us during the day, thank you so much. You may not have heard from King Offa yourself, so I'm going to go out right now with the words of King Offa coming to life to us today to say a few words. And I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for making today the special day that it has been. One love, family.
Thank you, Sista Shanice, for writing this book about me, for sacrificing your time to tell my story. History can be lost if you don't take the time to read. Let this book be a guide to the next generation of young kings and queens. For so many years, my life has been credited to impostors, buried under lies. But the time has come, the truth will arise. Thank you for seeking me out and finding the truth. Now let's spread the word that I was one of many black kings who sat on the throne and called old England home.
Thank you, family. Thank you so much for making today a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm going to log off of YouTube now. Thank you, everybody.
Before you log off,
leave Zoom open for a little while so that people can talk among themselves. Go ahead, Sasha.
Before you log off, I would want everyone to do one quick request. Can everyone unmute? You don't. It's not that I want everyone to speak. I just want if everyone can unmute themselves. I'll just wait until I can see everyone unmute. It's okay if there's a little bit of noise in the background. I just want everyone to unmute just for a second as we appreciate the time and dedication that Sista Shanice has put into this book for us to be educated on the Black Anglo-Saxon King of England. So if we can all just give a round of applause.
Thank you.
Well done and well done.
Well done.
Thank you. All righty. So if you want to talk among yourselves, you can. I'm just going to go into YouTube now, log off the YouTube. Thanks to everybody who's been watching us by YouTube as well. One love, family.
Okay, bye everyone. Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Everyone.
Ciao.
Hey, bye-bye.
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 Good King Offa voice, Errol.
Yeah, absolutely.
That Errol's voice. I was wondering who was that voice.
Very powerful voice.
Of course, I love the drumming. Of course, I love the drumming. That was powerful. That was so powerful. I love that the most. Love you, and I'll catch up with you in the WIN group. Okay.
Phenomenal.
See you, sis.